Good evening. Right now the time is 7:43. I am Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons. What we are now tracking is a severe thunderstorm warning through some of those far northern counties. It's Tippah, Alcorn County included in this. Looking a little bit closer and into that severe thunderstorm warning, that heaviest rainfall really right already over top of Walnut down towards Ripley. Now we are just tracking that severe thunderstorm warning. This warning box extends until 8:30. This storm is moving about 40 miles per hour, so kind of getting a track on that. And as that continues to push through Tippah and Alcorn County, getting some times on that storm here in just a moment. The reason why this is issued is because of some damaging wind gusts, potentially some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts along with some hail. Now, sometimes on that storm, that's going to be closer to around Lone Pine there at 7:49, closer towards Collinstown, 8:01. Hightown there at 8:06, closer to Corinth there around 8:11, Biggersville 8:16, and then closer towards Farmington 8:18, and then Strickland area there around 8:25 as this storm continues to push east. Now, clearing that off, I do want to zoom in and kind of look at that hail threat. There was some hail earlier when I was looking at that storm up closer towards Walnut. Looking at that now, we're still looking at some grays there on the map. That's some smaller hail on that size, but this storm is continuing to strengthen. And then also some hail just outside of Tippah County on the south side of that storm as that's going to continue to push east. Now, still some damaging wind gusts possible along with this. Once again, some gusts 60+ miles per hour, so that could definitely do some damage. Now, we're going to continue to track widespread a line of severe thunderstorms that are right over top of the Mississippi River and into the Delta. You can see from Tupelo down toward Tunica down towards Clarksdale, those severe storms right over top of the river, and that box actually is rotation possible, tornado possible with those areas of rotation within that storm. Now, I do want to take a widespread look and a track as that line of storms will continue to push east and move into the area. Those storms are moving a little bit quicker, so I'm going to speed the time up on that so we get some accurate readings. And this is going to be a lot of names on here when I do track this. So kind of tracking that main line right over top of the river back towards Arkansas and into the area. Just a few times on this, as this is a kind of widespread track there. It's going to be closer towards Oxford around 8:52, New Albany there around 9:15, Corinth 9:28, Tupelo there around 10 o'clock, moving out towards Red Bay 10:23, Starkville area at 10:42 if that holds together at that speed. Now, one thing that we are tracking is some smaller storms still out ahead of that main line, like this one that you can see just east of the Batesville area. That is not a warned storm, but this is moving into very fueled atmosphere. So as that continues to track, we could see some of these storms strengthen and a few more warning boxes along with that. Now, we're going to continue to track. Our main threat tonight is going to be the potential for those wind gusts, but also tornadoes possible and some potentially even stronger tornadoes possible. Now, I do want to take a look at the rest of that line that is not warned but could still strengthen. Right now, moving into places Union, far northeast parts of Pontotoc County. As that tracks east, that's going to be bringing some heavier rainfall. Now, some times on that storm, I'm going to adjust that first and slow that back down because those storms are moving about 40 miles per hour. So sometimes on this, as this line continues to move into New Albany, Pontotoc, and then towards Tupelo. It's going to be closer towards New Albany there around 7:56. So here in the next 10 minutes or so, Sherman area around 8:14. Closer towards Main Street and Coley and Tupelo, 8:25. Okolona area there around 8:40. Nettleton at 8:48. For that line of storms. Now, we're still continuing to track those storms back behind that as well, those that are pushing across the river right now and into the Delta region. Now, once again, main impacts with these storms are the potential for some damaging wind gusts, tornado threats still possible as all of our area under a level 3 out of 5 risk for those strong to severe storms in our area. Widespread, you can continue to see that does include all of the WTVA 9 News coverage area. Also, those tornado watches already in effect for almost all of our Mississippi counties. That does not include Lowndes, Noxubee, Winston County, and then out towards Alabama. This extends until 11 o'clock tonight. We'll see some of those cut back beforehand as those storms push through a little bit earlier. And most of these storms will be moving out closer to midnight, 1 a.m. Now, I do want to go back and look at radar once again and get another track on that severe thunderstorm warned storm, which is moving through places in Tippah and Alcorn County. Looking closer, the heaviest rainfall kind of moving closer towards Ripley, north and eastern parts of Alcorn County included in that. Going to get another track on that sometimes for folks that are maybe just tuning in. Sometimes on that storm that's going to be closer towards Collinstown there at 8:01, Kossuth 8:06, Corinth area at 8:14, Farmington 8:21, Glen area there around 8:29, Pine Flat 8:36 as that storm continues to move. That main threat, wind gusts 60+ miles per hour and the potential for hail. Now we are going to continue to leave this live stream up as storms continue to move in. We're not going to stay consistently talking while this live stream is up, but we will break in when needed. So I'm going to leave this as a widespread look. Again, we're watching this line of storms, the strongest part closer to that Tennessee state line, but stronger storms that have had many warnings along with severe thunderstorm warnings, even tornado warnings as it pushed through Arkansas. Again, that's going to be crossing over and moving into very fueled atmosphere. So we are continuing to track this, but we are going to leave this live stream up. I'm going to turn off my mic until it is needed, but we will be breaking in online and on air as needed. So I'm going to talk about this storm in parts of Tishomingo County right now, closer towards the Ripley area. Looking at that, it looks like we do have some broad rotation right there. Looking in the National Weather Service chat, they're continuing to monitor this storm that is close to that Ripley zone south of the Faulkner area. Once again, some broad rotation within that storm. I do want to take a track on that really kind of broad rotation right there, and sometimes ahead of that storm. Making sure I got this at the right speed right there. Yes. Sometimes really from that rotation into Alcorn County. We're looking at that closer towards Kossuth around 821, Biggersville 827, Rienzi area there at 828, Corinth 833, and then closer towards the Burnsville area at 847. Another thing that we are tracking with this is going to be the potential for some hail. In the National Weather Service chat, a tornado warning is going to be coming out for Tishomingo County right now. 2 areas of circulation along with that storm. So I'm going to kind of close that off. Looking at that storm, continuing to see that area of rotation there closer to the Ripley zone. And then also looks like some broad rotation in the northern part of the county right there. So I'm going to get a bit of a more widespread track with some times on that as that's moving into northern Alcorn County as well there along 72. Of course, that heavier rainfall down closer towards Collinstown here in the next few minutes. Now, the National Weather Service will have that tornado warning out here in just a moment, and we'll see what all areas that include. So they're behind the scenes. I'll let you know in just a moment if we need to break on to actual on-air coverage with this. Now, this does just include places in Tishomingo and Alcorn County with this tornado warning that extends until 8:45. Some rotation detected on radar with this storm. Now, Tishomingo and Alcorn County is in our viewing area, but not our designated market area. And right now we do have basketball and Oscars are on. We technically do not have to go on for these counties, so we are going to stay on the live stream and Facebook Live only. Now, if this does include places in Prentiss County or even Tishomingo County, then we will go on. But right now we are going to stay just on live stream and on Facebook Live with this. Now, this is issued by rotation detected on radar. That's why we have this tornado warning now including Tishomingo and Alcorn County. This has not been spotted. There's no confirmed debris, but we are continuing to monitor that as this storm is going to move closer and into Alcorn County here in just a few more moments. Now, already in Alcorn County, for western portions of the county on the north side, a little bit more of that track on that storm as that's going to be moving closer towards Corinth, Rienzi here in the next few moments. Kossuth area there at 804, sometimes on that. Allentown 808, Corinth 815, closer towards Farmington there at 821. Kendrick area at 827, and then closer towards Sandy Creek subdivision 836, and then Crossroads 839, sometimes on that storm. Now, if somebody is out ahead of this tornado warning, you might want to go ahead and take a picture of some of those times and send that to somebody that is in Tishomingo, Alcorn County right now with that tornado warned storm. What you want to make sure you are doing is you want to be in your safe spot. You want to be in a sturdy structure. You want to be in the middle of your home, lowest floor. Find a small windowless room. Wrap up in pillows, blankets, maybe a helmet if you have that. Now, if you are having to go to a shelter, we have a list of those at WTVA.com. Now, if you are going to be getting out, make sure you are staying as safe as possible. Right now, kind of zooming in a little bit closer to where we do see some areas of rotation. That's going to be just east of the Ripley area. You can see there County Road 500 with that storm. Also a little bit more signs of rotation on that one area there along 72, some broad rotation just south of 72, close to County Road 600 in Alcorn County. Now, we're still continuing to track just broad areas of rotation with this storm, so that's why we have that tornado warning in place. But with this setup, this could spin up fairly quickly. Back when these storms were out towards Arkansas, we saw several tornado warnings. So just making sure you are steps away from your safe place for the rest of the evening. If you are under this tornado warning right now, far south and south portions of Tippah County or eastern portions of Tippah County and Alcorn County, go ahead and be in that safe place already. Clearing that off, I do want to take a bit more of a widespread look at some of those other storms that we're continuing to track. We are still monitoring this line of storms moving into the Delta, kind of already crossed over the Mississippi River right now. A lot of potentially damaging wind gusts along with that storm. Northern portions of Lafayette County included in a severe thunderstorm warning already. We're monitoring for the potential for isolated tornadoes this evening as well. But that one storm right now at 8:02, I am Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons alongside our meteorologist Nick Perazzi, who just came in, tracking a tornado warned storm for places in Tippah and Alcorn County. It does look like we are still seeing that signs of rotation just east of the north and east of the Ripley area. That's going to be north of 4, though. You can see County Road 500 with some broad rotation. Also on the parts of Alcorn County, north and western portions of the county, south of Lone Pine, is where we're tracking a little bit more broad rotation with that storm. I do want to get another track of this here in just a moment, but another threat that we are looking at with this is the potential for damaging hail. Parts of Alcorn County, you can see some more blues there right along 72. You do not want to be driving through western portions of Alcorn County right now, as that hail is continuing to grow with a strengthening thunderstorm as that tracks east. So looking at also that hail just east of the Ripley area, we're seeing that. Now I do want to take a look at the track of these storms. Nick, can you give me a double check on the speed of these storms?
We've got about 35 to 40
35
miles per hour.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at 40 just so folks can get a little bit more of a heads up with that. I'm going to track a couple different things. The center of rotation there in parts of Tippah County into Alcorn County, sometimes on that. Kossuth there around 817, Allentown 819, Corinth area there at 829, Kendrick around 841, and then Burnsville there around 844 as this storm continues to track east. Clearing that off, and then I'm going to get a track of the northern part of this storm as that moves closer to the Tennessee state line. That's closer towards the Corinth area there around 820, and then closer towards Kendrick there 832, Chambers 835, Pine Flat there at 841 as this storm continues to track east. Clearing that off, we are going to continue to look widespread at more of those storms. Some of those non-severe thunderstorms from New Albany down towards Pontotoc County, those are going to be tracking east, potentially leading to some heavier rainfall, also a lot of windy conditions along with that storm. And then we are looking widespread at those storms back out towards the Delta and really right along the Mississippi River. Those will track east in the next couple of hours, impacting more folks for our area. But right now, looking closer towards the rotation, it looks like some of that storm just west of Collinstown right now, a little bit of tightening with that rotation there. If you are under this tornado warning for places in Tippah, Alcorn County, you need to make sure you are in your safe spot. You want to be in a sturdy structure, the middle of your home or whatever structure you are in, the lowest floor. You want to find a small windowless room wrapped up in pillows, blankets. Have a helmet on if you can. You want to protect yourself from as much potential flying debris as possible and stay put there until given the all clear. This storm, center of rotation right there is just west of the Collinstown area, and then another more broad area of rotation that we're tracking into northern portions of Alcorn County. A lot of lightning, a lot of heavier rainfall with this storm. Again, this tornado warning is just rotation on radar right now. We do not have anything confirmed from a spotter or any kind of tornado debris, thankfully. Now with that tornado debris, actually looks like we could see, no, that's going to be radar. scans right there. You can see how that shifts from site to site. Nothing confirmed on radar right now. So we're going to continue to look closer right there into Collinstown. If you're in Collinstown and then also Crumtown, you need to make sure you are in that safe spot right now. That tornado warning box just updated. That's why that flashed. Still do not have that confirmed tag up there. So this is rotation on radar. Nothing is spotted or debris confirmed. Still continuing to monitor that National Weather Service chat to make sure there are no updates with that, but still seeing signs of that rotation right there in really close to that county line of Tippah and Alcorn County, close to Collinstown, right over top of that county line. That latest scan is updating. You can see Highway, it looks like 2 right there. Also County Road 638 needing to be in that safe spot right now. Hightown, Kossuth needing to be in that safe spot as well, as you are right out ahead of this storm. We're also continuing to monitor the north side of this storm for that potential for rotation as well. On the north side of the Alcorn County, it looks a bit broader with that rotation, and actually looks like that part is kind of weakening. But the strongest part of that storm right now is going to be the one that's moving into Collinstown here in the next few moments, kind of right over top of you. Tracking the center of rotation there some more times as that moves east is going to be Kossuth there around 816, Bakersville 822, Corinth area there at 828, Glenn at 834, and then Kendrick area there at 841 sometimes as that storm continues to move into Alcorn County. Right now, far eastern portions of Tippah County and then also Alcorn County included in this tornado warning from the National Weather Service in Memphis. Getting a widespread look. We are still watching the rest of this line of storms, non-severe right now, but more severe thunderstorms to move in this evening. Back out towards the Delta, they've crossed over that Mississippi River now. A lot of those have potential for some strong damaging wind gusts, as well as that tornado threat into your evening as well. We have tornado watches in place already this evening for most of our area until 11 o'clock tonight. Now we are going to continue to monitor for that heavier rainfall from New Albany, moving into Pontotoc soon. Could see some breezy conditions. We've had very windy weather already today. Could see some wind gusts below severe limits, maybe some small hail along with that. But definitely the strongest portion of this storm is going to be moving into parts of Alcorn County, closer towards Collinstown here in the next few minutes. I do want to take a check back at the hail size, and we're still seeing some substantial hail north of 72, in between 72 and that Tennessee state line in Alcorn County, but also growing hail with that one storm that's going to be moving into western portions of Alcorn County right now there in Collinstown. So 2 separate areas that we're monitoring within that one tornado warned box. Now, continuing to monitor that National Weather Service chat right now at 8:09. I am Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons alongside our meteorologist Nick Perazzi, tracking severe weather this evening. Right now, it is going to be that tornado warning for places that has shifted now into Alcorn County. The center of rotation that we've been tracking has moved across that Tippah County line. You can see there Highway 2 in between Crumtown and Collinstown is where we are looking at that rotation. It actually looks like it has broadened some, but still watching that to see if that tightens up or continues to strengthen. We have seen some of that hail potential a little bit growing some within this thunderstorm, so we're monitoring that as well. We could see some even damaging wind gusts 60+ miles per hour within that storm, but overall needing to make sure you are in your safe spot. Unsafe spot is going to be cars, trucks, mobile homes. So if you need to know where your closest community storm shelter is, you can scan this QR code there. And on a list on our website, WTVA.com, there's also a list of all those community shelters for your area. But you do not need to be in any of those unsafe places this evening, as those storms are going to be moving through. That also includes large open rooms, upper floors, or rooms with windows. If you are in Alcorn County right now and under this tornado warning, you need to make sure you are in your safe spot. And that is going to be sturdy structure, middle of your home, the lowest floor. You want to find a small windowless room. A lot of folks, it's going to be your bathroom. Wrap up in pillows, blankets, put a helmet on to protect yourself from any kind of flying debris, and stay there until given the all clear. Now, right now for places Tippah County, countywide, you might hear those sirens going off, but most of the county is not included under that tornado warning. And really that center of circulation that we're tracking has pushed a little bit farther from the county line. So in Tippah County, you're given the all clear for now. We're still watching storms back out towards the west move in, but looking closer to that one storm that's going to be moving towards Kossuth here in the next few moments with a lot of heavier rainfall. Starting to see that rainfall pick up, but the heaviest is just outside of your area. Still continuing to look at this more broad rotation now in the Collinstown area, County Road 638. You can see there a lot of heavier rainfall, lightning along with that. I do want to get another track on this storm as the southern part of Alcorn County is going to be seeing some heavier rain here in just a moment. Going to get a little bit of a track from Kossuth down towards the southern part of the county. Sometimes on the heavier rainfall, lightning, hail threat is going to be Allentown there around 817, closer towards the Biggersville area there at 823, Strickland 833, Glen area there around 835 as this storm continues to push east. Clearing that off, I do want to go back to a more widespread look, monitoring those storms still back out to our west into the Delta. I've been watching these as they pushed across Arkansas. A lot of those had severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings along with that. What we have for most of those out into the Delta, really that entire line, is severe thunderstorm warnings, and you can kind of see that faint orange outline. That is tornado possible. So broad rotation within this line of storms. That's one thing that we are continuing to track. On down the line, non-severe thunderstorms from New Albany moving into Pontotoc here soon. A lot of heavier rainfall, potential for some small hail within this. And you can see a little bit of that far western portions of Pontotoc County. And looking back closer towards that northern storm, it looks like some of those storms have slightly weakened, not as large hail, kind of on that Tippah Alcorn County line, and then also closer towards the Tennessee state line north of 72 moving into Corinth. Some small hail out there. Now, if you are going out after the storm and you take a picture of hail or any kind of damage reports, you can send those in to us through our WTVA weather app, email, also Facebook. You can send us those reports. Now, it does still look like very windy conditions, and still looking on reflectivity here, that little notch back, signs of some broad rotation. Looking on storm rotation, we can still kind of see that close to, I think that's County Road 500 there, and then also close to Highway 2, just slightly south and west of the Kossuth area. Still a lot of lightning with this storm, a lot of heavier rainfall through parts of Alcorn County right now as the storm is continuing to track closer towards Kossuth really here in the next few moments, and then towards the Corinth area. So I do want to get another track on this storm as it pushes across the county. I'm going to get a little bit of a longer track all the way from that Tennessee state line back through Kossuth, and then also I'm going to track northern parts of Prentiss County with this storm as well. Now, sometimes on that Farmington there around 822, Biggersville there at 823, Rienzi there at 831, Pine Flat 836, Crossroads there at 841, and then closer towards Burnsville there around 846 as this storm continues to track across the county, and then also tracking a little bit of that storm that's going to be moving into northern parts of Prentiss County here soon. Now, this tornado warning does extend until 8:45. Once this storm exits the area, they'll kind of cancel off some of the back half of that storm. Looking closer to the hail potential, looks like could see a little bit of hail back southern parts of Tippah County. Some smaller hail, nothing too large, but that could continue to strengthen. Looking closer towards that Tennessee state line, closer towards Collinstown, still with some small hail. So we're monitoring that, but of course that wind potential. Very breezy conditions within some of these thunderstorms. We've already had very windy conditions already that could have beat up some of those trees all day long. So we could see some damage reports with this. So make sure to send those in to us. That's a big help out because unfortunately there's not a lot of those cameras in more rural areas. So we're relying on viewers to send us those damage reports and pictures, of course, once it's safe, after the storm is pushing through, or after the storm has pushed through. Now, after that line pushes through, what we are continuing to monitor once again back out towards the Delta. I do want to get a bit of a longer track on those storms, and I'm going to speed that up slightly because those storms were moving a little bit quicker. From really up closer towards Hernando, just west of Batesville, and into the at least northern half of the area. Some times on that. Grenada, 856. Blue Mountain area there around 920. Closer towards Corinth, that second line of storms, 947. Closer towards Tupelo there around 1006. Aberdeen area around 1027. Now I'm going to shift this south and track some of those storms that are going to be moving into south and west portions of the area. Right now still back out towards the Delta, but definitely looking at a lot of heavier rain from some of those storms. So tracking these from Indianola down closer towards the Mississippi River and into Louisiana. Sometimes on that as that moves closer. Fade in the area around 933, Walthall 950, Durant area there around 1014, Starkville 1036, Columbus is going to be closer to 1103 for some of those storms. Now again, that tornado watch that we have is going to be extending until 11 o'clock tonight. We'll continue to watch some of those, especially through those northern counties, get cut off the back half of that as those storms push through. But right now at 8:18, we are still tracking this tornado warned storm in Alcorn County. Tippah County still could hear some sirens going off as that tornado warning still includes parts of your county, but that center of rotation has moved east into Alcorn County. I do want to look at rotation there, still seeing some broad rotation close to the Kossuth area. You can see that from where the greens and the reds meet. That's where we're looking at storm rotation. And then also right along that Tennessee state line, north of the Corinth area, looking at some broad rotation as well, right along that Tennessee state line. And that's really where we've been tracking a couple areas within this storm. Still nothing confirmed from spotters. We're not looking at any kind of debris signature on this. This is just rotation detected on radar, but it could develop into a tornado soon. That's why we're continuing to monitor this. Now an update that's kind of easier to look at on reflectivity. They've trimmed this back, so Tippah County no longer under a tornado warning, just for places in Alcorn County included in this warning box. So Corinth still hearing sirens going off, still needing to make sure you are in your safe place if you are in Alcorn County. That is going to be a sturdy structure, the middle of your home, the lowest floor, whatever building you are in. You want to wrap up in pillows, blankets, put a helmet on to protect yourself from any potential flying debris. Of course, right now is nothing confirmed, but we want to make sure you are staying safe and stay there until given the all clear. Now, looking closer to this storm, still a lot of heavier rainfall, a lot of lightning along with this, and then also, of course, that rotation detected is where we're still continuing to track that closer towards Kossuth, and then the area of broad rotation closer towards that Tennessee state line north of the Corinth area. There along 45, just west of that, is where we're tracking that broad rotation along the Tennessee state line. So again, I do want to get some times on this storm here in just a moment, but I am going to zoom out and take a quick check at some of those other storms as they're moving in. Looking at this thunderstorm that is back out towards the Delta right now, you can see severe thunderstorm warning, rotation detected within that. line of storms. I am going to get a track on those storms as they're going to be moving into Lafayette County, Yalobusha County, a bit of a shorter track. Sometimes on that storm as that moves in, that's going to be closer towards Batesville there around 8:27, and then Abbeville there around 8:51, Oxford 8:54 as that storm pushes closer towards Yakima 9:05, Darden area there around 9:12 for those storms back out towards the Delta. Now looking back at that tornado warned storm up towards Alcorn County right now, looking at the heaviest rainfall just west of the Corinth area, from Kossuth really towards that Tennessee state line. A lot of heavier rainfall, very windy conditions along with that, and it's a very electric storm. You can see a lot of those small lightning bolts with that. We could see some wind gusts 70+ miles per hour within this storm, even outside of some areas of rotation. So I'm going to kind of zoom out on that and get a bit of a longer track from the Tennessee state line, Corinth area down towards Kossuth into northern parts of Prentiss County. That area of storms, tracking that as that moves east. Rienzi 8:31, Gaston area 8:33, closer towards Jacinto 8:37, Burnsville area at 8:43, Iuka 8:54. Closer towards Rivington 8:59, and then closer towards Lane Springs there around 9:08 on that storm as that continues to track east. Now monitoring that tornado warning for places Alcorn County included in that warning box. That does extend until 8:45 as that storm moves out. They'll continue to trim that back as the National Weather Service is continuing to update that in the chat. We're monitoring that. Now we are looking at some heavier thunderstorms from places in Union County, kind of moving right into Pontotoc right now with some heavier rainfall. These are not severe warned, but could see a lot of lightning, still some breezy conditions along with that. Could see some wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour. But that is below severe limits, so that's why we don't have any warnings along that line of storms there. Looking closer once again, Corinth kind of right over top of you with that heavier rainfall as that continues to track. Looking at the area of rotation, looks like just south of the Corinth area, or south and west of the Corinth area, where we are looking at a little bit more rotation. If you're in Corinth, you definitely need to be in your safe spot. Even though this is not a confirmed tornado touchdown, we need to be making sure you are staying safe along with that. And some of those areas is going to be your bathroom, maybe a small closet. You want to make sure you are in a sturdy structure. Some of those unsafe locations going to be mobile homes, cars, trucks. If you need to know where a community storm shelter is through the evening, even as these storms continue to approach, you can scan that QR code there. That'll give you a list of storm shelters for our area, county by county. That's also on our website, WTVA.com. Now, looking back at this storm, once again, nothing confirmed. You do not see that confirmed tornado touchdown in that tag. It is just the rotation on radar, but it could touch down or develop very soon as it is moving into a lot of fueled atmosphere there. A tornado has not been spotted or confirmed on radar with debris. Now we are looking at some rotation there closer towards the southern part of Corinth. Also a lot of lightning picking up on that storm. So signs, or a lot of lightning, are signs of a strengthening storm. So looking a little bit closer into that storm, of course, you can see that rotation. There's 45, there's 72, some broad rotation close to that intersection there. Now I do want to zoom back out at some of those other thunderstorms that are going to be moving into the area. Again, northern counties, you're going to be seeing that rainfall moving in soon. Lafayette County, a lot of heavier rainfall, and potentially even with these back out towards the Delta, could see some rotation within those storms. So we're monitoring that back out to our west, but really right over top of our area already in Alcorn County, Corinth, a lot of heavier rainfall kind of tracking over you. You need to, if you are in the Kendrick area, even closer towards Glen, you're right on that edge of the tornado warning. Really, that area of circulation that we've been tracking will move just on the north side of Glen. Biggersville, it's just north of you, so still needing to stay in that safe place right now. Right along 72 there, 45, getting a lot of heavier rainfall right now. That is something you do not want to be out in along with that. But looking back at this storm, we're continuing to see that. Once again, that includes places in Alcorn County, northern Tishomingo County not included in this tornado warning. But from Corinth down towards places in Tippah County is where we're seeing that heavier rainfall, and then also those non-severe thunderstorms moving through Union, Pontotoc County right now, as that's going to be tracking closer towards northern parts of Lee County here in the next few moments. Nick, if I can get you to bring up one of those cameras in Saltillo and just have that ready for me in just a moment as that line of storms moves in, we'll try to get a view on how heavy that rainfall is, because looking at radar right now, could be visibility impacting rain. Probably not wanting or needing to drive through these storms as they push in. Of course, it's been breezy all day long. We've had some of those wind advisories, still have some of those wind advisories. So definitely not anything that you need to be driving in. Now, the time is 8:27 right now, still tracking that tornado warned storm for places in Alcorn County. Corinth included in this. Kendrick area included in this. Glen, you're right on the edge of that tornado warning, so needing to make sure you are in your safe spot. The center of rotation where we are tracking is in between Biggersville, Corinth there. You can see the uptick in lightning, and that is a sign of most of the time a strengthening storm, as that's going to be just along 72 and south as that continues to track east. Now, looking at that storm, of course, heavier rainfall, could see some wind gusts up to 60, 70 miles per hour as that storm continues to move in. Widespread, we're looking at some of those stronger storms also down towards the Pontotoc County area, as that's going to be tracking east towards Lee County. So for places in Tupelo, Saltillo, you'll get that heavier rain soon, but right now that is not anything that is severe warned. Could see some wind gusts closer to 30 to 40 miles per hour along with those thunderstorms. Now, one place in the south and western portions of our area, Grenada County, now included in a severe thunderstorm warning for those back out towards the Delta. They've extended some of these warnings to go pretty far out wide to give folks a heads up, and that's what the National Weather Service has done for this storm. Now, of course, that heavier rainfall, Indianola area, will be moving into Grenada County here soon. So I do want to get a track on that storm as that's going to be moving in. So tracking really from Charleston down towards Indianola area, Hollandale, moving into our western counties. Grenada area, they're around 901, Duck Hill 915, Bruce 927. You might want to give folks a heads up on some of those storms back out towards the Delta. So you might take a picture of that, send that in to them. Houston, they're around 959. Closer towards Verona, they're around 1006. Nettleton, they're at 1020 as those storms continue to move into our area this evening. We'll be tracking these through the rest of your evening into the overnight. Looking back north at that one storm though, right now it is 8:30. We are tracking that tornado warned storm for places in Alcorn County included in that. We could see some wind gusts 60, 70 miles per hour. The reason why we have this tornado warning right now is because of some broad rotation on radar. We have not seen anything confirmed or spotted. We have not seen anything from spotters out there. So it is just that rotation detected on radar, but could develop into a tightening area of rotation or a tornado touchdown soon. But right now, what we are still continuing to track are just signs of rotation on radar. And you can see that is now just east of the Corinth area. Still a lot of lightning with that one storm, as it's going to be really tracking there along 72. Going to be moving closer towards that Tennessee state line. Northern portions of Tishomingo County could see this same storm closer towards, you can see Crossroads Creek subdivision as well. Broad rotation. We're not looking at anything right now that is confirmed again, but still needing to make sure you are in your safe spot if you do fall under any tornado warnings this evening. Now, since most of the area already under tornado watches, a lot of those community shelters should be open. You want to find a sturdy structure, middle if you're at your home, lowest floor. Find a small windowless room. For many folks, that's going to be a closet or a bathroom. Wrap up in pillows, blankets, put on a helmet if you have that, and protect yourself from any kind of flying debris that could happen this evening, and stay there until given the all clear. Now, Corinth, here in just a few more minutes, you can come out of your safe spot. For now, again, we're tracking those storms back out to the west, but that storm is continuing to track just on the eastern side of town. A lot of that heavier rainfall again. We could still see those breezy conditions even once this first storm moves through. Again, we're looking at those storms back out towards the delta and pushing closer to our area. I'm going to try to take a look at the camera in parts of Lee County right now. Trying to get that pulled up. Looking towards Saltillo. Going to clear that off. Pretty quiet right now. We're not seeing any of that heavier rainfall move in just yet, but we're continuing to monitor that. Breezy conditions expected with this storm, as that's going to be moving through Lee County, also Prentiss County. Here in the next few moments, we'll see a lot of that heavier rainfall. Now, we will continue to break in on air, online. Of course, we're online already as needed this evening. Looking closer to that tornado warned storm that is just including places in Alcorn County. Have you seen anything in the chat about them potentially extending the tornado warning itself?
Nothing yet.
Okay, good. Thank you. So they might just allow this to expire at 8:45. They may cancel it early, but we're going to continue to track other storms in our area as well, as the National Weather Service in Memphis has just put out a severe thunderstorm warning for places that includes Yalobusha County over towards Calhoun, Lafayette County, as those storms you can see from Batesville back down towards Charleston. So it is a broken line of thunderstorms that we're continuing to monitor. Potential for some damaging wind gusts of 70+ miles per hour. And you can also see that up there at the top. Rotation detected. So we could see for some of these, as they track east, signs of rotation, signs of strengthening, just like this one storm that we now have a severe thunderstorm warning on as well for places that includes Pontotoc, Union, Prentiss, even parts of Lee and Itawamba County included in that warning box. I'm going to toss it over to our meteorologist, Nick Perazzi, right now. Nick, what do you have?
So looking at that storm that's over there in Pontotoc County right now, when we look at the potential for rotation there, we've actually started to see maybe a development of some rotation in that storm, specifically just about north and west of Endville. Now, one thing that is also developing with that new severe thunderstorm for portions of Pontotoc and Lee County is they're starting to see more hail get reported on there, as well as it being picked up on our radar. So Chelsea, I don't know if you want to take a closer look at that storm, especially with that rotation. I've been watching it the last about 15 minutes or so, and it's starting to get more organized.
Yes, thank you, Nick. So what Nick is talking about is when we're looking at radar right here, it looks like an S or multiple S's along that line. And that's that rotation, trying to get into that thunderstorm. And that's where we're continuing to track that potential for tornadoes this evening. So I do want to take a look at storm rotation on this. See if I can switch it over to the Memphis radar to see if there's a better look at rotation. Unfortunately, we're kind of right in the middle of some radars there, but we can definitely see that on reflectivity. Those little S shapes, those little kinks within that line is what we're tracking for that potential rotation. But I do want to get a track on that storm, since that is going to be moving into northern Lee County, Prentiss County here soon. How fast is that storm moving, Nick?
They have it at 55 miles per hour
55,
moving
so I'm going
northeast.
to speed that up. I'm going to track that all the way through northern parts of Prentiss County and then down through parts of Pontotoc County. As we're looking, the heaviest rainfall looks like parts of Pontotoc and Union County, kind of that county line there. Some times on this storm, as it is moving fairly quickly, about 55 miles per hour. Tupelo Country Club, they're at 8:39, closer towards the mall in Tupelo, 8:45. Deer Park, 8:52. New site there at 8:55. Closer towards Sandy Springs at 9:02. Tishomingo there at 9:05. Tishomingo State Park there around 9:11. This is the potential for damaging wind gust. We could see some wind gust 70 plus miles per hour along with that. So a very strong storm, as that is going to be moving north Lee County up towards places in Prentiss County right now and over the next little bit. Other storms that we are tracking, once again, some of the heavier areas of rainfall just outside of places in Yalobusha, Lafayette County. Just an update, the National Weather Service is expiring the tornado warning, so they will let that go until 8:45. So that center of rotation is continuing to weaken, so they are not going to reissue that. So looking back at those storms and moving into some of our western counties, again, a broken line of thunderstorms just outside of some of our areas. I'm going to get a long track on the north half of this as that moves into Lafayette County right now, moving into Yalobusha and Grenada County. Some times on these, it's going to be a lot of times there. If you know anybody that is in that northwest part of the area, go ahead and take a picture of this and send that in to them in case they are not watching just yet. That's going to be Potts Camp area at 8:45, Grenada 8:54, Coffeyville there at 8:57, Ripley at 9:07, Banner area at 9:14, closer towards Calhoun City there at 9:26, Ecker area there around 9:30 as those storms continue to track east. Now for places off to some of our south and western counties, we're still watching and monitoring for you. Right now, Montgomery and Attala County not under any of those warnings as those storms are still back closer to the Mississippi River right now. But I do want to go back up towards really Alcorn County, all the way from Alcorn County and through northern parts of Lee County as we're looking at some very heavy rainfall and very windy conditions as these storms continue to track through. Could see the potential for some damaging wind gusts, 60, 70 miles per hour. Right now, the time is 8:40. I am Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons alongside meteorologist Nick Perazzi, tracking severe storms as they are moving through a lot of our northern counties. You can see from just north and west of the Tupelo area, Guntown, Boonville, just out ahead of some of those stronger storms. Hearing a little bit of that thunder pick up over Tupelo right now. Could also see some hail potential within these thunderstorms. Clicking on that and looking closer to that hail potential for some closer to the Sherman area. We're looking at that in between Pontotoc first, some smaller hail along with that storm, and then also up closer towards the Alcorn County. We're looking at that hail. Nothing large. Normally when we talk about large hail, we're seeing some more of those blue colors on that map, but it's mostly just those gray. So some pea-sized hail potentially, but definitely some heavier rainfall and windy conditions along with that. So another look at some timing from that Tennessee state line down through Boonville, Frankstown, as that is going to be moving into Tishomingo County here in the next few moments. Gonna get another track on that. From that Tennessee state line down through Rienzi, Boonville, as that's gonna continue to track east. Unless this is not wanting to track because I keep going too far down. Right there. And then moving through Tishomingo County, some times on that. That is closer towards Crossroads there at 8:46 as that thunderstorm continues to move east, closer towards Iuka there at 8:58. Waterloo there at 8:58 as well. Tishomingo 9:04. Tishomingo State Park there at 9:09. Starting to hear a little bit of rainfall over our studios right now. Storms approaching the area. Looks like that heavier rainfall really just south of the Sherman area. That's going to continue to track closer towards Saltillo. Do you still have that Saltillo camera up?
I switched it to I-22 over at McCullough Boulevard.
Okay.
I can switch it back, but it's showing
Leave
a
it
lot
there.
of
I'm going to
lightning.
take a look at it right quick. See what things look like there. This is Barnes Crossing 22. A lot of lightning you can see off in the distance as that storm continues to approach. Hold it on this camera just for a minute. Big flash of lightning there. These are very electric storms as they're going to be moving into parts of Lee County, Prentiss County as well. We can continue to see a lot of those lightning flashes as that's going to be moving. Actually change that to Saltillo because it looks like that heaviest part that's moving out of Sherman right there is going to be tracking towards Saltillo. I do want to take a look at this. Some broad rotation on some of those storms into still north and eastern parts of Pontotoc County. But right now we're continuing to track mainly that potential for some damaging wind gusts as well. Now for places up towards Tennessee, just that area that we were tracking that rotation in Alcorn County, National Weather Service out of Memphis has reissued that tornado warning outside of our area, including Savannah, Tennessee. So if you know anybody that is up to our north, maybe give them a call, check on them, make sure they're in their safe place there. They are just going to let this tornado warning box expire in the next 2.5–3 minutes. But we are continuing really to track that heavier rainfall that's moving out of that warning box as well. Do want to continue to go back and look at these storms that are moving in towards Oxford area, Water Valley here in the next few moments. Definitely not as organized. It is a broken line of thunderstorms back out towards the Delta, what we're tracking with that, but you can definitely see there up at the top, rotation detected along with that. So we're monitoring and watching closely for that potential for any tornado warnings to come or any damaging wind gust. We're continuing to monitor that threat. That is the highest threat that we have this evening, is that potential for some damaging wind gusts as well. I do want to continue to track this as Boonville really right over top of you with some rainfall, that heaviest rainfall just south and west of you. You can see Blackland down towards Frankstown, the heaviest in Prentiss County, but also looking at some hail potential with that storm that's going to be moving closer towards Saltillo. It looks like we could see some small hail along with that. That's back towards the Sherman area. Of course, that heavier rainfall, breezy conditions. We've seen some very windy weather already that could have kind of beat up some of the trees. So we could potentially see some trees or limbs come down as this storm pushes through. Sometimes on this, going to track from Baldwin back down towards the really just east of Sherman, as that's going to be tracking on that north side of Tupelo up towards Saltillo. So sometimes on that, that is going to be closer towards the Lakefield area at 847, Main Street and the Trace at 850, closer to Church Street School 853, Marietta there at 859, Eggville at 901, Shiloh area at 904, as that's going to be continuing to track into northern portions of Itawamba County. That heaviest part of the storm looks to stay north of the Fulton area, but could still see some damaging wind gust with this storm, as well as hail, heavier rainfall. A little bit of that rainfall starting to pick up over our station right now. Looking at storm rotation with this, some broad rotation closer to that Lee County line on the western side there, close to Union, Pontotoc County, near the Sherman area, but nothing really just defined right now. But we're continuing to monitor that for any signs of strengthening with that storm. Do want to go a little bit more widespread again, looking at that one storm back up to our north, closer to that Tennessee state line, crossroads with that heavier rainfall soon. Could see the potential for some wind gusts, 60, 70 miles per hour moving into crossroads area. Iuka here in the next 20 minutes or so, moving into your area. Some small hail potentially, but we haven't seen any large returns on hail threat for that. Now again, for places in Lafayette, Calhoun, Yalobusha County, we are still continuing to monitor those storms as they move in. Tracking a little bit closer, we're going to do a lot of kind of smaller tracks as this is that broken line of storms. So looking at the Lafayette County area, it's really moving through western portions of Lafayette County right now. Going to be closer towards Oxford here in the next few minutes. They're at 8:53. Closer towards Bethlehem, they're at 9:06. Darden area at 9:13. Hickory Flat, they're at 9:15 as those storms continue to push east. Now on down the line, places in Yalobusha County, Calhoun County, going to be seeing a lot of that heavier rainfall. Of course, on top of the Enid area, Tillatoba, they're 55. We're looking at a lot of lightning, heavier rainfall with this storm. That's going to continue to push closer towards Coffeyville here in the next few moments. So another smaller track with some times on that. It's going to be getting closer, and I'm going to track that a little bit longer. Gatewood there at 9:50, Bruce Junction, sometimes on that. That's going to be 8:55 for you. Water Valley at 8:59, Pine Valley at 9:04, Shepherd area at 9:14, and then Bruce at 9:17 for that storm, as that's going to be tracking through Yalobusha and into Calhoun County. Of course, the threats with these storms, mainly that potential for some strong damaging wind gusts, and we're talking some gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour. So that could definitely do a lot of damage to outbuildings, barns, carports, trampolines. We could see some of those, but I do want to go back to that one storm that is a little bit on the heavier side, moving into Saltillo here in the next moment or so. Really Baldwin area, Boonville, still seeing a lot of that heavier rainfall. Have you switched that camera, Nick, back to Saltillo? Yes, thank you. So looking back at that Saltillo camera, kind of just seeing a lot of those lightning flashes, waiting for that storm to move in. Looks like we're starting to get those raindrops there as that hit that camera lens. That heavier rainfall will continue to push in. Very breezy conditions as well. Going to go back and forth from radar back to that camera. As we're monitoring this, you can see a little bit of movement on that camera as that camera is continuing to shake. It also looked like some water droplets there on the roadways starting to flare up. I want to go back to storm rotation along with this. It still looks like we are seeing some broad signs of rotation in north and western portions, or really western portions of Lee County. Still nothing defined right now. This is just a severe thunderstorm warning, but we have that potential for some very strong and potentially damaging wind gusts with this. And you can see still those S shapes along that line, and that's that rotation just trying to get into some of those thunderstorms, really from Guntown, Saltillo, and you can see that very south part of that storm is going to be moving right over the top of our station, so it may get hard to hear shortly as that heavier rainfall is going to be moving in. But I do want to take another track on that storm all the way from Boonville back down towards Baldwin area, Saltillo, north side of Tupelo, going to be getting that heavier rain as well, and I'm going to track that into Tishomingo County. So sometimes on that, that's going to be Elvis Presley Lake there at 8:54, Eggville there at 8:59, Marietta at 9:02, New Site 9:04, closer towards Sandy Springs 9:10, Tishomingo 9:14, Golden area there at 9:20, as it's going to be pushing closer towards that state line. A lot of heavier rainfall, breezy conditions, a lot of lightning along with that. We're still continuing to monitor also for those broad signs of rotation with that storm. With this storm, I would go ahead and be steps away from your safe place. If you are in places, Saltillo, kind of already needing to be kind of close by. But if you're in places in Prentiss County and also out towards Tishomingo County even, be thinking about where you are going. Updating, kind of cutting back some of the area on the back side of that severe thunderstorm warning. You can see that update. Closer to Baldwin right over top of you. I'm going to look back at the Saltillo camera as on that MDOT camera. We're continuing to monitor that. A lot of lightning flashes along with that. Heavier rainfall still continuing to track closer to the area. But not looking at a lot of movement just yet on that camera. We've seen some very breezy conditions already today, so that could have weakened some of those tree limbs. We could see damaging wind gusts 60, 70 miles per hour, but really looks like signs of rotation still north of the station here, but closer towards Saltillo, looking on storm rotation where we see some more of those reds and greens meet. That's where we're looking for that potential for rotation. Still just a severe thunderstorm warning. They're talking about this storm in the National Weather Service chat. We're continuing to monitor this closely and see if this needs to be upgraded to any type of tornado warning. But I would go ahead and be steps away from that safe place for this storm. Saltillo kind of right over top of you here in the next moment or so, but Marietta, go ahead and be steps away from that safe place, as well as Tishomingo, needing to make sure you are staying steps away. Also Moore's Mill, go ahead and make sure you know where you are going to shelter. And speaking of that, you need to make sure you know, of course, in your home where that is going to be, whether that is a closet, your bathroom. You want to be any sturdy structure. The middle of your home, lowest floor, wrapped up in pillows, blankets. You're going to be away from windows, doors. If you have a helmet, put that on until given the all clear. Now, this storm is continuing to track closer and really right over top of Saltillo right now. So kind of clearing that off, and I'm going to go back down to that MDOT traffic camera. Right now in Saltillo, you can see that the rain has picked up. Breezy conditions, as you can see the movement on that MDOT traffic camera. This is at 45 and 145 coming through Saltillo. See a lot of those lights still on, kind of glaring off the roads. We're continuing to monitor the wind with this. That is that main concern with this storm and with those storms this evening, is the potential for some strong damaging wind gusts, some 60 plus, 70 plus mile per hour wind gusts. Along with this, we've seen very breezy conditions even earlier today, so continuing to monitor that and track that as that's going to be moving through Saltillo. Guntown, a lot of heavier rainfall over top of you still. I want to take a check back at the potential for hail. West Saltillo, that looks like we are seeing some smaller hail, maybe some pea-sized hail along with that once the storm pushes through. If you can go out, if you want to take a picture of that hail, send that in to us for damage reports or reports for these storms. Should just say storm reports. That would be helpful. Now, a lot of heavier rainfall still moving into northern Tishomingo County along the storm crossroads area, closer towards that county line, Alcorn County, Tishomingo County. They're continuing that severe thunderstorm warning through northern counties, closer towards that Tennessee state line. Right now the time is 8:54. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons, continuing to track a line of severe thunderstorms moving even through our western counties. Looking closer to some of those storms into Oxford right now. If you want to switch one of those cameras over towards Oxford so we can get a view of that heavier rainfall. I'm going to track from Oxford down towards Coffeyville as that heavier rainfall kind of moving right over top of Water Valley into Coffeyville here in the next few moments. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning, and you can see that tag there up at the top, rotation detected, as we're watching for that potential for some of these storms to try to rotate, could produce tornadoes this evening. Sometimes on that Bryant area at 8:50, Pine Valley at 9:04, Yakima there at 9:07, Banner 9:12, Bruce 9:18, closer towards Thaxton there at 9:21, North Pontotoc High School there at 9:26 as this storm is continuing to track east. Some places have already gotten a lot of heavier rainfall this evening, have already been under warnings. With this second line that we're seeing, we could see more of those through the evening and part of the overnight. This is what it looks like in Oxford right now. A very strong visual of how windy that is. That is a good camera, thank you, Nick. The winds just forcing that water all over the roadways. This is not something that you want to drive through, is this line of thunderstorms that we're seeing moving into our western counties. And unfortunately, we don't have cameras in Yallowbush or Calhoun County, but this is the same storm that's going to be moving into those locations. I mean, you can even see the street light right there, that red light, moving with those winds as well. So very windy conditions, a lot of heavier rainfall that is going to be impacting visibility, a lot of lightning as well. Very electric storms this evening. Again, wind is that main concern that we're looking at with these thunderstorms. Widespread. Looking at a lot of heavier rainfall from Tupelo north to that Tennessee state line into parts of Tishomingo County, and then also all the way you can see from Bolivar up towards Tennessee, Oxford, Coffeyville, Grenada, Greenwood, and then back out to places into the Delta south and west of us. Now, Montgomery County, Attala County, you'll see those storms move in the next hour or so, but really from Grenada County up towards Lafayette County, that's already where we're getting that heavier rainfall. Again, I want to go back and look at that one storm that is moving through Guntown. It's already pushed kind of closer towards and through Boonville area, through the Corinth area right now. It's going to be moving into Tishomingo County. So I do want to get a track on that storm from the Tennessee state line and then down through Prentiss County, northern Lee County, and then across northern Itawamba County included in this track of these storms. Burnsville, 9 o'clock, new site 9:02, closer towards the Burton area at 9:05, Iuka there at 9:10, Tishomingo there at 9:13, going to continue to track this storm. Belmont, 9:18, Golden area 9:22, Cherokee, Alabama, that's going to be 9:28 for you. I am going to get also a track on that line of storms that is moving through northern part of the state, and it looks like they have extended that severe thunderstorm warning box. Still, they have that tagged as rotation detected. One report from the emergency manager there in Lafayette County, a large tree down in the area of 24 County Road 509 in Lafayette County. That's where we were just looking at that MDOT traffic camera in Oxford, and you could see how breezy the conditions are there. Looking back in Oxford right now, back at that camera, it looks like the breezier conditions, still windy out there, but we don't see as much of those winds kind of forcing the water all over the roadways. But of course, still very strong winds, and actually you can kind of see that right there, very windy conditions pushing that water all over the road. So that's really what we're continuing to monitor. And now we do have reports of trees down in our area, or at least Lafayette County. So of course you can send those reports in to us through that WTVA weather app. You can send those on Facebook and also through our emails as well. And we rely on y'all for a lot of these reports to know what is going on where. So I do want to track this storm really from Walnut back down towards the Oxford area. What's the track or time, speed, sorry?
That big line of thunderstorms moving at 35 miles per hour.
35, okay, so it has slowed down some. So I'm going to adjust that back down to 35 miles per hour. The speed on the storms, not the wind gust. We could see some wind gust much stronger than that. But from Walnut down through Oxford, Water Valley, Coffeyville, gonna get that as that tracks. Gonna get a little bit of a longer track. So if you want to take a picture of this, send this to somebody that is maybe ahead of this storm. Myrtle, 9:07. Banner area there at 9:17. New Albany there at 9:25. Farmington there at 9:35. North Pontotoc High School, 9:40. Pontotoc City Lake, 9:49. North Lee Complex, 9:59. And then closer towards 22 McCullough area, around 10:07, as that second batch of thunderstorms is going to be moving closer towards the Tupelo area right about that time, around 10 o'clock. So we're continuing to track these storms, and I am going to get our meteorologist Nick Perazzi to join us in here right now. Nick, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking at this storm again back over Saltillo right now. Now, there was a concern a little bit earlier of some potential rotation. Right now, I think what the main threat's going to be with this storm is going to be strong winds, potentially up to 60, 70 miles per hour. And again, those hail signatures, they've been pulsating a little bit. And what that means is we could see a strong signal 1 scan, and the next time radar scan happens, it's a little scan. But all that means is that there is a lot of water coming down as well. So heavy rainfall rates that is tracking over Saltillo right now.
Yes, and that's what it looks like with that hail return right there. Some smaller sized hail. But we've seen with some of these thunderstorms this evening how quickly they could grow. So that is another potential, but a secondary threat with that main concern being the strong damaging wind gust. And again, we've already had reports of that from the emergency manager there in Lafayette County, a tree down in the county somewhere because of these winds. Now, one thing that you might notice on some of those severe thunderstorm warning boxes, again, that rotation detected, the possibility of within that line of thunderstorms, we try to see that rotation, or some of those storms try to produce rotation and a tornado possible with that. So that is also a concern that we are looking at. And you can see that heavier rainfall from Coffeyville back up towards Oxford. Now, behind this line of storms, could see some showers into early tomorrow morning. Could even see some snow flurries. We'll talk about that later on. But once this line of storms pushes through, the severe weather threat dwindles down. Now, of course, that cold weather moves in after that. But looking at where that line is settled right now, you can see from Oxford down towards Coffeyville, Grenada, back down towards Greenwood, and then into portions of the Delta and Louisiana. This portion of that line of storms is what's going to be moving in for places Montgomery, Attala County here in the next little while for your evening. But right now at 9:02, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons alongside our meteorologist Nick Perazzi, tracking severe thunderstorms through our area. Some of those ones out ahead of that main line you can see from Guntown up towards Prentiss County and moving into Tishomingo County right there. And looking a little bit closer to some of those storms, you can see that one closer towards that Tennessee state line. Still that possibility of a little bit of some broad rotation with that. But I do want to track that line of thunderstorms. Very heavy rainfall, very breezy conditions potentially with this storm. Some wind gusts could be 60, 70 miles per hour plus as we're looking at this. So some times on that, Kirkville there at 9:08, Iuka area there at 9:20, Waterloo there at 9:25, Morris Mill there 9:31, Wright area at 9:35, closer towards the Malone area at 9:37, Lane Springs at 9:46 as the storm continues to track east into far northern Itawamba County and also Tishomingo County included in some of these severe thunderstorm warning boxes. Clearing that off, again, we're tracking a couple lines of these thunderstorms from Guntown back up towards Iuka here shortly, and then also from Walnut, Ripley, down towards northern Union County. Oxford, that heavier rainfall is kind of just moving past you or just about to be moving past you. But of course, a lot of heavier rainfall from Water Valley down towards Coffeyville. I do want to take a look at some of the hail returns with this. Some small hail possible, not looking at anything that's just too overly large or standing out there. Now, we are looking at a little bit more hail kind of on that Alcorn and Tishomingo County line there, just north of Burnsville. Some small hail potentially, but mainly just a lot of heavier rainfall and some windy conditions with this. Now, widespread, once again, what we are tracking is severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, you may notice that small upgrade from that one in parts of Lee, Prentiss, Itawamba County. They have added rotation detected because that's what we're looking at on the south end of that storm, some broad rotation that we were talking about earlier when that was moving close towards the Saltillo area. So looking a little bit closer, we're still continuing to monitor for broad rotation within this thunderstorm. We do not have a tornado warning at this point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to leave radar up just for a moment, and we will be back on here in just a second. I'm going to change this back just for a moment. I'm going to get a drink and kind of clear my throat and not do that with a microphone that is on. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, so I've gotten a drink. Sorry about that. Looking in the National Weather Service chat, they are going to reissue downstream from the Prentiss County storm, so the one that has moved through the Boonville area, and they are going to reissue for the potential for ping pong ball sized hail, along with some winds up to 60 miles per hour. So we're continuing to monitor the threat for hail within this thunderstorm. Taking a look at that, looks like that has upticked slightly, and that looks really just to be north of the Saltillo area, and that's, you can see Kirkville right there, Guntown area, northern part of Lee County, where we're seeing that potential for some hail. That's continuing to strengthen as that moves through Marietta right now. So looking at that storm, and they're also going to reissue this as a tornado possible within this thunderstorm. So looking, you can see that rotation indicator right there, that storm track. But looking closer to storm rotation, where we see more of those greens and those reds meet, it looks a little bit messy right here. But north side of Lee County right there, east of Guntown, close to that county line, Itawamba, Prentiss area is where we're tracking some broad rotation. And that's why they've added that rotation detected within this severe thunderstorm warning box as well. A lot of heavier rainfall, a lot of lightning along with this storm, but you may notice some more of those yellow boxes continuing to pop up back out to the kind of south and west of that one storm. So widespread look. We have severe thunderstorm warnings for a lot of the western half of the area, all the way from Tippah County. That does extend now into Chickasaw County, Calhoun, and even northern parts of Webster County. So I'm going to track this secondary line of storms. We're still continuing to monitor that line of storms from Prentiss up towards Tishomingo County, but tracking this secondary line of storms as that's going to be moving through the area. Do you still have that as 35 miles per hour moving?
From Grenada, that is?
Yes. That second line of storms. Going to continue to track that from Grenada all the way up towards Tippah County. Some times on that. It's going to be New Albany area at 9:22, Ashley Furniture there at 9:32, closer towards Boonville at 9:47, Tupelo at 10:11, Shannon area at 10:24, Fairview School in Itawamba County 10:43, Red Bay area there at 10:56, Aberdeen 11:07, and then closer to MSU's campus there at 11:13, as the lower half of that storm, kind of the south and west portion, will continue to move in as well this evening. Now looking closer to this line of thunderstorms, still kind of that broken line from Ripley back down through Lafayette County, Water Valley included with that. We have that tag up there as well, rotation detected. Along and within this thunderstorm, we could see areas of rotation along with that. Now I do want to go back to that one storm that is going to be getting closer towards the Marietta area right now, and definitely looking on reflectivity right now with stronger signs of rotation there. I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're in Marietta right there, go ahead and be in that safe spot. If you're close to Bay Springs Lake, Dennis area, Tishomingo, go ahead and be in that safe spot as well. And that safe location, many folks already probably know, but you want to be in the lowest floor of your home, the middle of your home, and you want to be in a small windowless room wrapped up in pillows and blankets, and protect yourself from any potential flying debris along with that, and stay put until given the all clear there. I'm trying to get a look at storm rotation right there. Kind of a messy look, but where you see those brighter scans, that's where we're seeing that rotation. Now continuing to monitor this storm, also that potential for some hail along with that, some damaging wind gusts even outside of that rotation, some 60-mile-per-hour winds along with that. And you can also see that up there at the top, rotation detected within that thunderstorm. This extends until 9:15. That's that storm underneath it. They've reissued this. Let me This extends until 10:15 for this storm. There's a lot of overlapping severe thunderstorm warnings, so that's why I'm trying to get the most accurate time on that. But this thunderstorm warning that includes places in Tishomingo County as well as Prentiss County goes until 10:15 this evening. Now, looking across the area, still that heavier rainfall on the northern parts of Tishomingo County that's going to be moving into Iuka here in the next little bit. Some small hail possible with that. But what we are looking at with that storm, that line of storms moving kind of in south and eastern portions of Lafayette County, moving into Pontotoc, and that's going to be Calhoun, and then on down the line, Chickasaw County. The National Weather Service is upping the winds to 70 miles per hour plus within that thunderstorm. So that's going to be looking right now, at least, mostly like some straight line wind damage. We've had reports from the emergency manager in this chat of some trees down within the county. So looking, going to track from Tippah County down through Yalobusha County on this line of storms, down through, actually I'm going to go to Grenada, and I'm on the wrong thing. There we go. Now we're doing it. Tippah County down through Grenada as that continues to track to the east. Some more times on that at 9:13 right now. It's going to be getting closer towards Thaxton there at 9:18. American Furniture there at 9:33. Pontotoc City Lake 9:44. Sherman area at 9:51. Closer towards Tupelo McCullough at 10:01. Tupelo 10:17. Manatee 10:35 on down the line. Nettleton area there at 10:53. Red Bay at 11:03. And then Amory at 10:15 for that line of thunderstorms as that pushes through. Now for places on the backside of this line, there's not a lot of us yet, but Oxford, that severe weather threat is kind of tapering off once that moves a little bit further east. And then once that line pushes out, some much colder air will be moving in. We'll talk about that a little bit later, coming up at 10 o'clock tonight, unless we go through just with weather on that. But right now, we are tracking severe thunderstorm warnings for a lot of the area. Go ahead, looking at power outages right now. Nick, if you could come get this iPad and bring up power outages on it, and I'll try to show that. And then I'm going to go and connect it to the Apple TV. Thank you. It's just in the Safari. It should already be in there. Still looking at signs of rotation closer towards the Marietta area. And then looking at storm rotation right there. It looks like a little bit of tightening with that storm rotation south of Hobo Station. That's going to be along 371 or just west of 371 in between Marietta, Hobo Station is where it looks like we are seeing those signs of rotation within that thunderstorm. Now looking widespread across the area, once again that main line of storms, you can kind of see how that bows out right there. That's very windy conditions on the backside of that. That's potential once again for 70+ mile per hour winds. On down the line, we're continuing to also see that in Grenada, how that storm pushes from the backside. That's that wind forcing that storm forward. There along 55 in Grenada, 51 coming through Grenada, a lot of heavier rain as well. That's really what we're continuing to monitor. Okay. Gonna go ahead and look at power outages because the emergency manager in Lafayette County is putting in the National Weather Service chat some signs of power outages. Looking statewide already, there is over 15,000 folks in the state without power. Some of those included in Tippah County, actually, that's going to be over 4,000. Panola County, over 2,500 folks without power. Alcorn County, there's almost 1,000 folks without power. Thank you, Nick. Just kind of keep that on the back burner. I'll come back and check with that every so often. Power outages are starting to rack up. So that's one reason why you want to make sure you have multiple ways to get those alerts in case your power does go out and then your phone dies. WTVA weather call, WTVA weather app, NOAA weather radio, code red alert, FEMA app, all good resources to have during these severe storms especially with multiple rounds like we've seen possible this evening. Now, looking closer and into some of these thunderstorms moving through Tippah County right now, really right over top of Ripley with that heaviest rainfall. New Albany here in the next few moments or so. And this is really where we're continuing to monitor for that rotation possible. You can see a little bit of kinkback on that north side of New Albany right there. I am going to look at storm rotation. Nothing significant right now, but I do want to bring in our meteorologist, Nick Perazzi. Nick, what do you got? What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking at that same storm over in Marietta. We're getting a lot of feedback in terms of our hail potential, up to now 1.5 inches of diameter of hail. That is about the size of a ping pong ball, almost even getting closer to a golf ball size hail. That storm right now is right over Marietta. I think that hail signature is a little behind if you do show that, Chelsea, but that is very, very close to where we are seeing that potential signature for that rotation of that storm.
All right, thank you, Nick. Yes, we are looking at that return there right over top of Marietta, and you can see, zooming in a little bit closer, the word Marietta kind of covers that. But on the larger size typically than what we see, some of those darker blues, very large hail for our area. Once again, ping pong, golf ball sized hail. You do not want to be out in this storm. Now that also extends with some maybe pea-sized hail up towards Hobo Station. That's going to continue to track closer towards New Site, right over top of Bay Springs Lake if that holds together. Hopefully nobody out on the lake this evening, but if you know somebody that is, you might want to call and give them a heads up because this storm is going to be moving closer to that location. And I do want to kind of get a track on the hail potential with that, as that's going to be moving into Tishomingo as well. Bay Springs Lake here in the next few moments, 9:29 for that storm. Tishomingo there at 9:38. Tishomingo State Park 9:40, and then Malone area there at 9:54. 9:53 for Oldham area as that continues to track north and east, and that is going to be that hail threat that we are tracking sometimes on that. Again, we are continuing to monitor a long line of severe storms, pretty much along the entire line of storms moving through our western counties is where we are tracking a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. And you can see that up there at the top, rotation possible with this. But I do want to, again, bring in our meteorologist, Nick. What are you looking at right now? I'm
looking at that storm over in Grenada County, specifically just east now of Grenada. I'm looking at the National Weather Service chat right now. They're talking about that storm bowing. And so what that means is when we'll show you the Doppler radar in just a second, you can kind of see it shoots out like a bow from the actual rest of the line of thunderstorms. In there, we could see really gusty winds. Right now, they're talking about winds up to 70 miles per hour. That storm is starting to move towards the west. Portions of Big Creek could be next in terms of that potential threat of that bow echo. Yeah, that's really what we're tracking kind of right there, where it pushes forward. That wind behind that storm forces that out, and that could be doing some straight line wind damage. Another thing that I do want to look at is that potential for some possible rotation southern Yalobusha County within that line of thunderstorms. That looks to be south of the Coffeyville area, around Turkey Creek is where we're looking for that potential rotation as that curves back into the storm. And you can see it a little bit better potentially on reflectivity, or you could in the last scan. So we're continuing to monitor that threat along with the bow of Grenada County. So that's really along that entire line of storms. We're looking for that potential for damaging winds, rotation possible along with that. So we're continuing to keep a close eye on these storms. Right now, moving back into northern portions of Alcorn County, back under that severe thunderstorm warning, just west of the Corinth area, Ripley right over top of you right now, New Albany. So I'm going to get another track as that continues to move east. Do you have an updated time, or is it still moving about 35 miles per hour, the main line? Main line starting to move closer towards 40, 45, 50 miles per hour. They're
45.
starting to up that.
Okay, I'm going to put it at 45 right now. Going to track that from Alcorn County down through New Albany and then just past Ecru. Ecru really here in the next few moments, that heavier rain is going to be moving back in for you. But Allentown there around 925, Corinth 928. Corinth, you've already seen that heavier rainfall. You've already gotten a little bit of hail, but that main line is going to be pushing back towards you. Farmington 1034, 934. Blue Springs 941. North Lee Complex 950, closer towards Guntown area there at 955. Iuka there at 1001. Marietta 1004, with some more of these storms moving back into your area. I do want to give a closer look back at that Marietta storm right now, that storm that is just pushed over top of you. Now it's getting closer towards Bay Springs Lake. A lot of that heavier rainfall, that lightning has picked up slightly over top of the lake. We're continuing to monitor that. Looking back at the hail size, still a lot of larger hail that's kind of moving on top of the lake as we speak. That's north of Morse Mill. You can see there along 366, we're looking at some large hail within that thunderstorm. Now that thunderstorm, you can see extends until 10:15 as it's going to be moving into Tishomingo County, really right on that county line already with that heaviest rainfall. Watching still some broad rotation within that thunderstorm, but where we are continuing to mainly track signs of rotation. We've talked about southern Yalobusha County, and also it looks like could see some of that in parts of Grenada County as well. So looking at storm rotation, seeing a little bit of a kink there in parts of Grenada County, but also a little bit of a kink into parts of Yalobusha County as well. South of the Coffeyville area, nothing defined right now. We are still mainly just tracking a line of strong, damaging wind gusts. Now, for some places, you've already gotten that heavier rainfall with some of those first storms. We're continuing to monitor this one. Once again, looking in the National Weather Service chat, a tornado warning coming out for Tishomingo and Prentiss County. So behind the scenes, once that tornado warning is put out, we need to go on air. And that does include places in Tishomingo and Prentiss County. And let me know, Nick, I can't hear them in my ear, so if they say something, just let me know. Looking at signs of rotation within that, and that's going to be closer towards Bay Springs Lake, where we're continuing to monitor that as well. You see where the pinks and the greens, the brighter pinks there, is where we're looking at signs of tightening rotation along with that. And you can see that that is upticked. Considerable damage possible, even just within that severe thunderstorm warning along with that. But we're going to continue to monitor this. I do want to go back and look and take a track. They've officially issued that tornado warning right now. So if we are not on air, please get us on air, NBC and ABC. This does include Prentiss and Tishomingo County. Right now the time is 9:25. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons alongside our meteorologist Nick Perazzi, tracking now a tornado warned storm for places in Prentiss and Tishomingo County right now. We've seen some large hail with this, but looking closer to that center of rotation, that's going to be closer to Bay Springs Lake. Nick, let me get an updated track time on that so I can get accurate times on that. But where we are continuing to see that rotation, you can see right on the county line there of Prentiss, Tishomingo County right now. Potentially also some damaging wind gust with this 60, 70 miles per hour. Right now, this is just a tornado warning, nothing confirmed at the moment. It is just that rotation on radar.
We have that moving at 40 miles per hour right
40,
now.
okay, thank you. I'll get a track on that in just a moment. But you want to make sure you are in your safe spot already, and that is going to be sturdy structure, middle of your home, that lowest floor. Find a small windowless room if you do not already know where your safe place is. Wrap up in pillows, blankets, put on a helmet if you need to, and stay there until given the all clear. It's going to continue to track. You said 40 miles per hour. Going to get some times on that storm out ahead of that. I already have that 40 miles per hour. Looking from the center of rotation, of course, you're going to get some heavier rain beforehand, but looking through Tishomingo County, we're looking closer towards Bay Springs Lake. That's right over top of you here in the next few moments. Tishomingo there at 9:36, Tishomingo State Park 9:38, Petertown, 944. Closer towards Allsboro, 948. If you want to go ahead and take a picture of that and send that to somebody that is out ahead of this storm and that track to make sure they are staying as safe as possible. Some places you do not want to be. Some unsafe locations are going to be cars, trucks, mobile homes, large open rooms, upper floors, and rooms with windows. If you do not know where your closest community shelter is, you can scan this QR code right there, and that'll give you a link to our website, WTVA.com, and that goes county by county and shows you all of those storm shelters there. Continuing to keep an eye on this one thunderstorm that is now tornado warned for places in Prentiss and Tishomingo County. The really center of circulation is going to be right over top of the Bay Springs Lake area. Zooming in closer, you can see that uptick in lightning, and that's signs of a strengthening storm. Another thing that we've been tracking with this storm is a lot of hail potential with this. We've seen ping pong golf ball sized hail with this thunderstorm, so we're going to continue to track that threat as well, kind of looking at the hail size. You can see it actually has went down a little bit, maybe a quarter-sized hail or nickel-sized hail over top of Bay Springs Lake, but we're really continuing to track that potential for the rotating part of this thunderstorm, and you can definitely see that right over top of Bay Springs Lake, that curve back into the storm. That's where we're looking at that rotation back. Those really bright pink colors meeting the green colors there on top of Bay Springs Lake is where we're continuing to track that tightening there. Now I do want to look, not seeing any signs of debris, which is a good thing. We do not want debris. So for now, right now, this is just rotation on radar. We do not have anything confirmed. We do not have anything spotted. Still continuing to monitor that National Weather Service chat to make sure everything is accurate. But really, that center of circulation, you can see right close to Crow's Neck Road, County Road 112 out ahead of that. You can see County Road right there, 26. Neal area needing to be in that safe location. I do want to get another kind of track on that center of circulation from Bay Springs Lake, and I'm going to track that kind of just straight east. Neal area, Bloody Springs, Neal at 935, closer towards the Bloody Springs area at 942, Tishomingo State Park at 938 as that storm continues to track east. Right now, the time is 9:29. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons alongside our meteorologist Nick Perazzi. We are tracking several thunderstorms this evening, one of those being the tornado warned storm in places in Prentiss and Tishomingo County, kind of clearing that off and looking more widespread. We're still continuing to monitor a long line of thunderstorms moving into our north and western sections of our area. And it looks like, looking closer, I don't want to ignore some of those western storms back out towards Grenada and moving into Calhoun County. Looks like some areas of broad rotation, those S shapes within that line of thunderstorms, is one thing that we are continuing to track with that. Nothing defined right now. We're not looking at anything rotation wise too overly strong. But we could see some of these thunderstorms pushing 60, 70 mile per hour winds out within those thunderstorms. So continuing to track that and monitor that. But I do want to focus back on that tornado warned storm right now. Tishomingo County, Prentiss County, it has crossed over that county line. So we're looking at that primarily in really central southern portions of Tishomingo County. And looking at reflectivity, looks like it has tightened. Still seeing that rotation back into the storm. County Road 961, County Road 112 needing to be in that safe location right now. Looking at that debris signature, not looking really at it, but checking for debris. We're not seeing much of that lining up with rotation, which is still that good sign. We do not have that tagged as confirmed, not anything spotted by a trained spotter, and that's really why we have this tornado warning, is just this rotation on radar right now. But it could develop into a tornado very soon. So you need to be in your safe spot if you are under this tornado warning in Tishomingo County as well. Now, this warning does extend back into Prentiss County. Right now, for this storm at least, given the all clear in Prentiss County. If you're still in Tishomingo County, once again, and the National Weather Service in Huntsville has extended this as that rotation is continuing to strengthen, continuing to see those areas. That's going to track back out towards Alabama. Now, you want to make sure you are, again, in your safe location, which is going to be a sturdy structure, whether that is your home or a community shelter. In the middle of your home, lowest floor, find a small windowless room, wrap up in pillows, blankets. If you have a helmet, you can put that on and stay there until given the all clear. Really on the south side of that storm is where we're seeing signs of rotation within that. That is now east of Bay Springs Lake, looking closer, really right along and zooming in closer to County Road. You can see 32 right there, Neal area, needing to make sure you are in that safe location. It is west of 25. Closer towards Tishomingo. Go ahead and be in that safe place. It looks like primarily that center of circulation is south of you. Also on down the line, Mingo needing to be in that safe location as well. Continuing to see strong signs of rotation with this. Looking, if we had a debris signature, it would line up right where we have that rotation. And luckily right now, we are not seeing that. But we're continuing to see those areas of rotation for Tishomingo County, and that's why we have that tornado warning box. Now, some of those unsafe locations, of course, cars, trucks, mobile homes, large open rooms, upper floors, rooms with windows. So you want to avoid all those if possible. Now, looking back once again, that main line of thunderstorms that we are continuing to track now from Corinth back down towards New Albany, down towards Bruce, Late Springs here in the next few moments. We don't want to forget about this strong line of thunderstorms because this one is also potentially doing some damage there as well. So I do want to get a track on that thunderstorm from Corinth down through New Albany. A lot of heavier rainfall over top of you and into Pontotoc. That's going to continue to track through some same locations that we've already gotten a lot of that heavier rainfall. Could see some 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts with this line of storms. Pontotoc City Lake there at 9:35. Sherman area at 9:42. WTVA Studios there at 9:54. Close to ICC Tupelo at 10:02. Mentachie area at 10:11. Fairview School there at 10:22. And then closer towards Red Bay there at 10:33. If you can bring power outages back up on the iPad and let me know when those are up. I just want to take a check on that. Looking back once again, that tornado warning, the National Weather Service you can see is kind of chopped off the back half of that. That included Prentiss County. But just south of the Tishomingo area, Tishomingo is where we're seeing that rotation. Neal area needing to make sure you are in that safe spot out ahead of that storm. Carter Branch, go ahead and be in that safe spot as well. Bloody Springs, and then that moves outside of that WTVA area into northern Alabama. I do want to take a look at power outages. Earlier when we looked, there was over 15,000 folks in the state without power. That has went up. There's now over 18,000 folks in the state without power. Grenada County has significantly went up, over 2,000 people. Panola County, over 2,500, and now Tippah County with almost 4,000 people without power. Thank you, Nick, for helping and bringing that up. Looking back at some of these storms, strong damaging wind gusts along that line of storms, and you can see that that's moving into Montgomery County, back up through Pontotoc and Alcorn County right now. The strongest storm that we are looking at is continuing to move through Tishomingo County right now, and that's that tornado warned storm. Right now, time is 9:36. We are tracking this storm just south of the Tishomingo area. Tishomingo seeing heavier rainfall, but that center of circulation in between really Tishomingo and Dennis there. You can see those brighter pink colors, those green colors where they meet. That's that rotation, the winds kind of in and out of the radar. Closer look at that. That's going to be along County Road 23, where we're tracking some of that. You can see 25 is also right there. County Road 90. Go ahead and you should already be in that safe location. If you are out ahead of this thunderstorm or ahead of this tornado warning, that rotation, going to get some times on that, really from that center of circulation. This is going to track a little bit longer, and most of these places are going to be on that Alabama side. But some times for you, Tishomingo State Park, they're at 9:38, Carter Branch 9:43, Bishop 9:46, Cherokee area there at 10:02, and that's on that Alabama side as storms continue to push off to the east. Looking back, a lot of heavier rainfall. I do want to take a check on hail. Earlier with this storm, we had some golf ball, ping pong ball sized hail that has went down a little bit, but still some maybe quarter-sized hail within this thunderstorm. Now, other thunderstorms that we are continuing to track are really that line. As that line of storms is moving, you can see from Alcorn County, going to be moving back into Prentiss County, back into Lee County here soon. And looking closer, we're also tracking the potential for rotation. You can see rotation detected within that line of thunderstorms and those S shapes. That's what we're continuing to monitor for through Alcorn County and then through Union County and really all the way down towards Pontotoc County. Looking at storm rotation, one of those stronger signs of rotation, it looks like just west, kind of up 22 slightly from the Sherman area, curves back into that line of storms. Zooming back out and kind of on up the line, still seeing a few broad areas, but definitely not as strong signs of rotation as we are looking in towards Tishomingo County with that tornado warned storm. Now that looks a little bit worse there on reflectivity, southern Tipa, northern parts of Union County. Nick, if you would just kind of keep an eye on that one storm right there. Also down the line, we're looking at still more of that S shape through Calhoun County. Looking at storm reflectivity or storm rotation with that, just south of the Bruce area, some broad rotation. And again, within this line of thunderstorms, that's what we are continuing to track. One of those threads, tornadoes and some damaging wind gusts. Some of those damaging wind gusts could be 60, 70 miles per hour in some of those thunderstorms. But right now we are just shy of 9:40 right now, continuing to track a tornado warned storm. And really this is the strongest sign of rotation that we are looking at right now. And continuing to monitor that, you can see in between Neal and that state line, Mississippi-Alabama state line, is where we are seeing more of those pink colors, green colors meeting, and that's where we are looking at that rotation track there. Continuing to check that, still not looking at any signs of debris, which is good news. We do not want debris, we do not want anything confirmed, but still needing to be in that safe spot if you are under this tornado warning. Now again, this is just rotation detected on radar, but it could develop into a tornado soon. A tornado has not been spotted or any kind of confirmed debris on radar. So right now, this is just the rotation detected on radar with this storm. Hail potential, still very windy conditions along with that, as that's going to be tracking kind of closer towards Alabama here in the next few moments. Now, looking back at this line of storms, again, from places in Alcorn County, Rienzi going to be getting that heavier rain here in the next few moments once again. Boonville, that rain is already starting for you, but the heaviest will start to move back in soon on down the line, continuing to track that. It's going to be moving into Lee County here in the next few moments. And they're still continuing to add. The National Weather Service is kind of extending some of these severe thunderstorm warnings out a ways ahead of the storm, just to give folks a heads up. Now, could see some 60-mile-per-hour winds along with this, but still tornado possible. As you can see, that rotation still detected with that thunderstorm. So with these storms, even that line of storms, be steps away from that safe spot. as these are going to be moving in, because a tornado could form up fairly quickly along with that. But I do want to get a track of the line of storms from Alcorn County through Algoma as that moves east. Sometimes Boonville here in the next few moments. They're at 9:45, closer towards Tupelo at 10:01, Manatee 10:15, Belmont area there at 10:22, Fairview School there at 10:27, Red Bay there at 10:36, and then closer towards the Florence area at 10:50 off onto that Alabama side. Now I do want to track again the southern part of this southern edge of this line of thunderstorms. As Montgomery County, Tala County, we'll get those to move in soon as well. So I'm going to track from parts of Calhoun County all the way back through Winona, Lexington, and then as that moves east, sometimes moving into our southwest areas. Going to be Vaden, 9:52, closer towards Houston at 10:01, Durant area at 10:09, Okolona at 10:16, Kosciuszko at 10:33, Amory area at 10:38, Aberdeen 10:46. As that continues to track closer to the Golden Triangle region, that's going to be closer to 11 o'clock, moving into the Starkville area. Now again, looking back at that storm, the tornado warned storm that is in parts of Tishomingo County, still that tight rotation on radar, but we do not have anything confirmed. It's just that rotation on radar right now, but we are continuing to monitor that, as that is just west of the state line there. That's going to be crossing into Alabama here shortly. Still looking at an uptick in lightning along with that, where the greens and the reds meet. It's where we're tracking the area of rotation on radar. So making sure you are in your safe spot. You want to make sure you are wrapped up in pillows, blankets, until given that all clear. Now Tishomingo, you're all clear for that storm. Tishomingo City proper. Tishomingo County, of course, closer to that Tennessee, or closer to that Alabama state line. It's where we're tracking the area of rotation. Now we are still seeing that line of thunderstorms that will move in. If you're on the back side of that thunderstorm line, that main area, Walnut, all clear for the night. The cold air will start to move in soon. Of course, Oxford, all clear for tonight. Water Valley as well. But we are tracking out ahead of this some potentially damaging wind gusts, 60, 70 miles per hour. Rotation possible within this line of thunderstorms. That's one thing that we are continuing to track, is that threat for tornadoes this evening. And really looking back and talking about tornadoes, that warning extends until 10 o'clock on the Mississippi side of that state line. They could cancel that a little bit early, as that's going to be tracking closer towards Alabama here in the next few moments. You can see that rotation and right there on that state line. So you still need to make sure, if you are out ahead of this or know anybody out ahead of this storm, Cherokee, need to be in that safe spot. You can see closer towards Carter Branch, a lot of heavier rainfall over top of you, but that center of rotation is crossing over that Alabama state line right now, as we're still seeing some area where those pinks, where those greens, where the reds meet. That's where we're looking at on radar for that potential for a tornado to happen. Not seeing any signs of confirmed debris. Again, good news. We do not want any confirmed debris with this. What that means is it is just still rotation detected on radar, but still could develop into that tornado very soon. We do not have anything spotted. We do not have anything confirmed, once again, but needing to make sure you are in that safe location and stay there until given the all clear. On that Mississippi side, just a few more minutes in that safe spot, and then you'll be given the all clear for that storm. Now, widespread, once again, we are looking at a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings through the northern half of our area and also through places in Webster County. We're continuing to see that, and they're also going to put out the National Weather Service in Memphis here in just the next few moments. You may see that pop on. A severe warning coming out for Chickasaw, Monroe County as well. That's going to be that storm moving through Calhoun right now. Going to be adding Chickasaw, Monroe County along with that tornado possible. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust potentially with this thunderstorm as well. So it's that line of storms really that we are tracking. You can see that one that does extend already to include Lee, Itawamba County, also places in Prentiss, Tishomingo County included under that severe thunderstorm warning. Looking a little bit closer, that's where we're seeing some of those more S shapes that kink back into the storm, that potential for rotation. A little bit of that right there. Not quite as strong of a return as what looks like on reflectivity, but also looks like they're close to where that 370 icon is, looking like a little bit of rotation possible with that. And then also on down the line, continuing to monitor that a little bit close to the Firs area. Again, widespread look right now. Main threat along this line is that potential for damaging winds with those severe thunderstorms along that line. The northern edge of that line is pushing back into Tishomingo County right now. Going to be moving into Tupelo here soon. Nick, if you want to pull up that camera, 22 Barnes Crossing or somewhere close to that area looking at a storm.
I've got Blue Springs up right now. It is actually an actual scene out there. A lot of lightning, very, very windy. Camera's starting to bounce as well, looking at that Toyota plant.
Looking at the Toyota plant right there. Camera might go out. Windy conditions. We'll check back with power outages here in just a moment to see how this is playing out and impacting folks. But definitely some windy conditions there in Blue Springs. Again, this is overlooking the Toyota plant. That heavy rain coming down. A lot of lightning. These are very electric storms out there this evening. So you do not want to be in any of these thunderstorms. Now looking on radar, we're continuing to see that severe thunderstorm issued for places in Monroe, also Chickasaw County included in that, and that's that heavier rainfall. We're looking at that line, we're tracking that line of storms as that continues to move east across the area. Now looking closer to that line of storms, you can see Blue Springs is right there. They're along 22 in between Sherman and New Albany. A lot of heavier rainfall that's going to be moving into Tupelo here shortly. And then also continuing to move right over top of Boonville right now. What I do want to look a little bit closer to that, you can see that curve back, potentially some trying to rotate there. Doesn't look to be as significant looking at specifically storm rotation. Looks like more of that bow out in the Boonville areas, potentially some strong damaging wind gusts moving through there as well. On down the line again, Guntown, Saltillo, you've had that heavier rainfall already. The National Weather Service is going to cancel the tornado warning a little bit early. So once that is completely canceled, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to programming just for a few minutes because we do have a 10 o'clock show. So I want to make sure everything is ready for that 10 o'clock show once this is canceled. But we are tracking this line of stronger thunderstorms again from northern Tishomingo County, moving back in all the way down through northern Lee County, Houston here in the next few moments. Going to get a track on that line of storms, and this is going to be a bit of a longer track all the way down towards Eupora. As that moves across the area, some times on that's going to be Tupelo there at 9:59, Verona 10:04, Tishomingo State Park 10:16, Fairview School 10:22, Aberdeen area there around 10:34, Hamilton 10:50, 45:82 in Columbus there at 10:51, Celigent 11 o'clock, Columbus area there around 11:08, MUW at 11:09, and then Haleyville there at 11:22. Sometimes that's that long track, that line of storms that we are continuing to watch. A lot of us under, especially in the northern half of the area, almost all of us, under severe thunderstorm warnings. Those main threats, the potential for some strong damaging wind gusts, hail, but also still tornadoes possible within that line of storms. Have you brought up a camera in Tupelo yet? I want to take a look at that storm as that is continuing to push closer towards the Tupelo area. Again, That tornado warning, the National Weather Service is going to cancel that early. That does extend until 10 o'clock on that Mississippi side, but that center, that storm, is back out towards Alabama now, outside of that WTVA coverage area. Still not confirmed with that. We are just waiting for that tornado warning box to actually be canceled early. But a look at that rainfall that is just starting to move back in close to the Tupelo area. A lot of lightning once again. Barnes Crossing 22. You can see that movement as that camera just starts to shake there. We're continuing to monitor these storms as they are moving in. Once again, we could see some damaging wind gusts, 60, 70 miles per hour along that line of storms. Still continuing to monitor and track for signs of rotation within these storms. And really, we can see from Boonville down towards Baldwin, very, very windy conditions as well. Looking on down the line again for places in Chickasaw County, from Holka, seeing a lot of heavier rainfall. Down towards Walthall is where we're looking at some of the heavier rainfall as well. It looks like very windy conditions, potentially some damaging wind gusts as that bows out. Kind of back behind that, that wind is forcing that storm out. So sometimes on the wind arriving at that point, Walthall area there at 9:55 here in the next few moments. Houston, 9:59 as well. Woodland, 10:04. Closer towards Okolona there at 10:14. Nettleton, 10:23. Closer towards Gibson, 10:28. Amory, 10:36. Aberdeen there, 10:41. And then Parham area, 10:46 as well. Now, clearing that off, continuing to track this line of thunderstorms. Of course, very windy conditions, but what we are continuing to track are some of those kind of kinkbacks, that S shape. They may just allow that to expire, that tornado warning on that. Continuing to watch that and monitor that. As that storm continues to track out towards Alabama, that is fully out of Tishomingo County right now. So I'm going to, for folks behind the scenes, you can toss this back to network if you need to do anything behind the scenes to get ready for the show, but please leave this up at the green screen. So I'm gonna let network toss back for just a few minutes, and then we have that 10 o'clock show. So we'll be back on air at that point, but leave this up for the live stream. Okay, I can see that we are off air now. Again, 9:54 right now. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons, tracking this line of storms. I'm going to get a track, take a brief break, and then we'll start back for that 10 o'clock show. But really what we are continuing to track and what I'm focusing on is that potential for rotation within those storms. And you can see a little bit of rotation there. Places in southern Prentiss County, very mild. We're not looking at anything too strong. Very broad rotation within this. Some very windy conditions along with this as well. I'm going to leave this kind of widespread. Again, going to take a brief break, look at some stuff behind the scenes, and then we'll be back on in about 5 minutes, if not beforehand, for that 10 o'clock newscast.
Yes. They said, do you want to keep the green screen up or go black?
Leave it up for another minute.
Leave it up for another minute.
Go black for a minute. Okay. Okay. Tip up.
So it's 70 miles per hour from the storm warn.
Always watching, always tracking. WTVA 9 News begins with the Severe Weather Authority.
Right now at 10, weather tops our broadcast. Several severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued. Our chief meteorologist, Chelsea Simmons, joins us now with the first look of our Severe Weather Authority forecast.
Yeah, and that rainfall has definitely picked up over top of our studio. Of course, you can hear that. But what we are tracking is this line of strong thunderstorms you can see from places Iuka down through Boonville area, moving into Tupelo right now and down through Houston. I do want to focus on one section of this line of thunderstorms that's going to be moving right now through Pontotoc, through Houston. And what this is called the Boeing segment of this line. Those winds are forcing that rain forward, and you can see that outer edge of there could have some wind gusts of 70+ miles per hour along with that. Now, I am going to get a track on these line of storms as that continues to push through. First with that Boeing segment, starting through Pontotoc County, down closer towards Houston, Manatee area. As that tracks east, some times on that storm, that's going to be Manatee here in the next few moments. Haven Acres 1012, Nettleton 1021, Evergreen area there at 1029, Amory 1034, Aberdeen area at 1040, Athens 1045, and then closer towards Greenwood Springs where our radar is at 1055. Now, of course, you can hear a lot of that heavier rainfall over top of our studio in Tupelo. Do want to take a track on the northern edge of this storm as well. From Iuka down closer towards the Guntown area, Tupelo, tracking that east. That's going to be getting closer towards Fulton here in the next little while, but some times on that, Bay Springs Lake, they're around 1006, Tishomingo State Park 1012, Belmont area at 1018, Red Bay at 1031, and then closer towards Florence, Alabama, 1040. Main threats within this line of storms is that potential for damaging wind gusts, as well as embedded in that line of storms, the potential for rotating areas. Looking closer to that, luckily it does not look like a lot of rotation within some of these thunderstorms, but mainly just that threat for some strong damaging wind gusts. Focusing also down on the southern portion, not as many severe thunderstorm warnings. You can see for places Eupora included under one of those severe thunderstorm warnings, but gonna track this bottom half of the line of storms as well, from Eupora back down through Montgomery County and outside of Attala County. As that tracks east, some times on that, that's going to be closer towards Maben 1014, Pickens 1019, sometimes down towards Kosciuszko around 1033, Starkville area at 1046, and then moving closer towards Columbus Middle School at 1106, and Columbus there at 1114. Again, strong damaging wind gusts. Some reports that we already have 4 power lines down, at least 4 power lines down in Tippah County. So far, nothing in Tishomingo County, luckily. So we hope to continue to see that. I do actually want to take a look at power outages because that continues to uptick. The latest information on power outages, it is just over 19,600 folks without power. And you can see Tippah County, one of those main counties, there's over 4,000 people in Tippah County without power. Grenada County, there's over 2,500 folks without power. A look outside for your evening right now at 10:04. We're looking at 22:45. This is looking west. A lot of heavier rainfall, definitely windy conditions as this is going to track through our area. So make sure you are staying weather aware and weather kind of prepared. You want to be steps away from those safe locations this evening, as right now we do have those severe thunderstorm warning boxes through most of the northern half of the area, but within that line of storms, that rotation still possible as that tracks east. So be steps away from your safe place this evening, or at least know where you could shelter. We'll have a full look at that forecast and when these storms move out and that cold air that's going to be moving in back behind it here in the next few minutes.
The best tool to keep you safe during life-threatening severe weather is WTVA's Weather Call Next Gen. Weather Call Next Gen will shoot you a text if your home is in a path of a severe storm and then call you if that threat increases to destructive hail or damaging winds. It'll even call you back to let you know that a tornado has been confirmed to be heading toward your location. With Storm Track Doppler radar, live lightning, and a complete readout of the storm's potential sent automatically to your smartphone, Weather Call Next Gen is everything you need to weather the storm for just $1 a month. Scan that QR code on your screen for more information to keep your family safe. As I mentioned, now is the time to track your nearest storm shelter and prepare. Here's a list of local shelters if needed. There are small storm shelters located at the Rockwell Center off Joyner, Gumtree Park on Front Street, and Veterans Park. You can also visit Lee County Sheriff's Office's website or more shelters in Lee County. Here are some in Lafayette County. You can shelter at the Recycling Center, Oxford Fire Department Station 3, located at 139 Highway 7 South, and Oxford Fire Department Station 4, located at 200 Mall Drive off Jackson Avenue West. Now, those were just a few. Be sure to check in with your county for more. New at 10, the victim of a recent dog attack in Okolona has died. Chickasaw County Coroner Larry Hughes just confirmed this with us. The attack happened February 7th at Triplet Street near the intersection of Main Street. Okolona police say 3 dogs attacked a 75-year-old woman. She was receiving care at a hospital in Memphis before she died. Police last month arrested Anthony Smith for that attack. He's been charged for aggravated assault on a vulnerable adult. A judge at this time has set his bond at $10,000. It's unclear at this time whether or not Smith's charges will be upgraded. A North Mississippi community is mourning the loss of a young athlete who inspired many during his fight against cancer. Former West Point High School running back Kimon Trey Ewing passed away Saturday night in North Mississippi Medical Center in Tupelo, surrounded by family. Last June, the community rallied behind Ewing with fundraisers and events supporting his battle with that disease. Friends, teammates, and supporters say his strength and determination left a lasting impact both on and off the field. He is being remembered not only for his athletic talent, but for the courage he showed throughout his fight. Funeral arrangements have not yet been announced. Not the news folks are expecting amid spring break as the travel ends. Biloxi, a motorcyclist died after a crash on the Biloxi Ocean Springs Bridge just yesterday night. The crash happened around 10:30 p.m. and other vehicles were involved. According to WMC, the driver drove off the bridge and went over. This investigation is still ongoing. Happening now, day 6 of the search for a missing person continues. Crews still have had a hard time finding any leads. It all started Monday night during heavy rain and flash flooding. A vehicle crashed into a creek along the Natchez Trace, and the water took the vehicle just over 2 miles down from where it started. It is now day 6 and the search ended earlier today. Jesse Clark with the Tupelo Fire Department tells me the game and fish will continue to search daily. And yesterday, additional K-9 units and Mississippi Department of Fish and Wildlife units were added to the South Division of the area. As I mentioned, no new developments as of today. We turn now to the war with Iran entering its 3rd week. Iran is not backing down, lobbing retaliatory strikes, this one in Tel Aviv. Here's ABC's chief international correspondent, James Longman.
No end in sight on day 16 of the war in Iran. Israel and the US expanding the scope of the operation. Dozens were reported dead this morning in an Israeli strike on an industrial site in Isfahan. That's according to the semi-official Fars news agency. And here, this residential neighborhood in Tehran, devastated. Iran continues to lash out in response. A strike on Israel today escaped missile defense systems over Tel Aviv. The Israeli foreign minister had this to say about the country's famed Iron Dome, reportedly running short on ammunition.
Can you confirm or comment on reports over the weekend that Israel has informed the United States that it is running low on missile interceptors? Is that correct?
The answer is no.
But the global impact of this war is playing out here at the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian attacks have essentially closed this vital waterway. The longer ships can't get through, the wider the ripple effects. The administration adamant, saying the war must continue.
Hey, there's no guarantees in wars at all. I can guarantee this situation would be dramatically worse without this military operation to defang the Iranian regime.
President Trump called on world powers to help keep the strait open, but tonight none have committed to that publicly, as the White House faces questions about why they didn't take steps to protect the critical shipping lane ahead of the war. UN Ambassador Mike Waltz says countries who rely on the oil coming through the strait need to step up.
Well, I'll leave those conversations to him. The conversations are ongoing. I think there's an important point that's getting kind of missed in the conversation.
Israel's front in Lebanon is tonight expanding too, as fears spread among the Lebanese that Israel will occupy the south of the country in their campaign against Hezbollah. More than 800 people have been killed here.
As President Trump tries to expand a Western coalition to try to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is finding help of its own in China and Russia. Iran's foreign minister said today the military cooperation with both countries continues. James Longman, ABC News in northern Iraq.
My mic may die. I gotta get a new battery. Yeah, at least for just a minute or so. I say that, but my thing's not responding, so yeah.
New at 10, with severe weather moving through the area, travel issues have already started. One airport is canceling flights for your safety. At least 5 departing flights at Memphis International Airport have been canceled as that storm approaches. Travelers are urged to check with their airline for the latest schedule updates. It also may be smart of you to stay off those roads as well. At 10:14, you're getting a live look outside of our Tupelo Tower cam. A lot of rain, lightning. We're tracking severe weather right now. Chelsea will be right back with a complete look of our Severe Weather Authority forecast next.
No, I'm getting it up. And my prompter flipped somehow too. Okay, what was that, Nick? Grenada County?
Yeah, Grenada County.
Okay, what was that, tree damage?
Reports of roof damage on Clay Road.
Roof.
Now, your WTVA Severe Weather Authority forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons.
Welcome back. Right now, the time is 10:17 for your Sunday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chelsea Simmons, and what we are tracking is a line of strong to severe thunderstorms that are moving through our area right now. You can see all the way from parts of Tishomingo County all the way down towards Montgomery County, moving into Attala County here soon. And I do want to zoom in closer, especially the northern half of this line of storms on the stronger side with a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, our main threat is the potential for some strong damaging wind gusts, but really what we're looking at within that line of storms is that potential for some rotation, and it looks like some broad rotation up towards Tishomingo County. And you can notice in a lot of these severe warning boxes, it is tagged rotation detected because still that risk of tornado possible. And you can see a few of those kinks there up towards Tishomingo County. Of course, you can hear that heavier rainfall over our studio, back down through Itawamba County. You can see Nettleton just on that edge of some heavier rainfall. Okolona, that has pushed right over top of you. That's going to be moving into Amory here soon, Gibson here soon. So I do want to take a track on the line of thunderstorms that we are watching move through our area right now. Through southern parts of Lee County, and track that all the way through Chickasaw County and down closer towards Webster County. As that moves east, really where we do have those severe thunderstorm warnings, sometimes on that storm, 1022 there in Evergreen, Bigby there at 1027, Amory area there at 1032, Aberdeen 1040, closer towards Westville there at 1051, New Hamilton 1055, Hamilton, it's going to be on the Alabama side, closer towards 1058, 1104 for places in Hamilton, Alabama, Caledonia area there at 1112 as that line of strong to severe thunderstorms moves in. Now, we could see some wind gusts 60, 70 miles per hour with that. Could do damage. A new update from Grenada County, reports of possible roof damage as well as tree damage there in the county. We've also talked about a few power poles down in Tippah County with these thunderstorms that pushed through. Now, looking on down the line, the southern half of the line, at least for our area, Attala County, closer towards Choctaw County, not under any severe warnings. They're staying below severe at that point, but I do want to continue to track that because they could continue to strengthen. So really from just south and east of Eupora, tracking that through Attala County and then through the Golden Triangle region. Kosciuszko there at 1032, Starkville area there at 1044. Sometimes on that as it gets closer to Louisville there at 1107, New Hope there 1122, and then on down the line closer to Macon at 1147. Again, very strong, potentially damaging wind gust with this. I do want to look at some reports and pictures that we've gotten in. One picture going to be of the hail. This was from the news site area. A lot of hail that we've seen within a few of these thunderstorms. Of course, power outages are continuing to go up with a lot of these thunderstorms. Last check, there was over 19,000 folks in the state without power. A lot of very soggy roads, very breezy conditions through Tupelo, and a lot of lightning. These are very electric storms. You do not want to be out and about in these storms. Now, one place that's still out ahead of the heavier rainfall is Starkville. Very breezy conditions already. Some of those wind gusts about 29 miles per hour, and it is warm, it is muggy. So it's a lot of fuel for those storms to continue to strengthen. So that's why we're continuing to monitor some of those in the southern half of our area. Now this kind of gives you that clear look of that cold air that's going to continue to move in. Out ahead of that, we're warm. Columbus sits at 73 degrees right now. Tupelo back over towards Oxford, already about a 13-degree temperature difference. Now, if you are really from northern places in Tishomingo County all the way down towards Attala County, northwest, you're in the clear. Those thunderstorms, or at least the severe part of those thunderstorms, are over with. Could still see a little bit of rainfall, but if you are still south and east of that, back out towards Alabama, more in the orangish colors, we're still watching those thunderstorms move in. Now, temperatures will drop. Cold going into your Monday morning. Breezy conditions stick around as well, but those temperatures will fall down into the 30s. We have freeze watches, freeze warnings across most of the area as we see that cold air really start to filter in. Storm tracker there by 2 a.m. though has a lot of this rainfall moving out. Clouds break apart for a lot of us. Now, very few of us could see a couple flurries into your Monday morning, but it looks like most of that will stay back out to our east. Now, if you are going to be getting out for your Monday, all those extra winter layers, because it is going to be cold and it is definitely going to be feeling like the 30s pretty much all day long. Now, we'll see more sunshine by your Tuesday. Drier conditions in store really through most of the week. That extended forecast, though, we're kind of on a roller coaster. While we have much cooler weather moving in over the next few days, morning temperatures down into the 20s and 30s. Afternoon temperatures will actually start to warm back up. By Wednesday, we're in those low 60s. We're continuing to warm into the 70s 80s as we're heading towards next weekend. But again, we're still continuing to watch those severe thunderstorms tonight going on right now. So we'll continue to update you that here in just a couple more minutes with another look at storm track Doppler radar. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Still watching these strong to severe thunderstorms as that line is now really moving through parts of southern Tishomingo County, closer towards Itawamba County, and then starting to move into the Golden Triangle region here soon. As now places in Clay County included under a severe thunderstorm warning. Our main threat tonight is going to be the potential for some strong damaging wind gusts. We've heard some reports of that wind damage so far, but really focusing closer to that one storm that's going to be moving into Monroe County. It looks like that storm is pushing out some possible wind gusts of 60, 70 miles per hour with that. Now on that northern edge of that storm, it's going to be pushing closer towards Red Bay here in the next few minutes. Fulton kind of right over top of you with that heavy rainfall. Of course, we're continuing to track this and monitor this. Not quite as strong from Kosciuszko back up towards Ackerman, but they are moving into a very fueled atmosphere. So we are continuing to monitor that and track that, but we are going to be here all evening to keep an eye on these storms.
Always watching, always tracking. WTVA 9 News begins with the Severe Weather Authority.
Right now at 10, weather tops our broadcast, giving you a look at some video from Ripley earlier tonight. A lot of lightning, dark clouds, severe thunderstorms warning have been issued. Our chief meteorologist Chelsea Simmons joins us now with the first look of our Severe Weather Authority forecast.
Yeah, looking at this line of storms, it looks to be moving really out of southern parts of Tishomingo County, really the front edge of the heaviest rainfall and those stronger storms. Fulton right now getting a lot of that heavier rainfall. Nick, if I can have you bring up one of those cameras in Fulton, I'll show that here in just a moment. But looking on down the line of storms from really right outside Amory down towards Aberdeen, just west of there is where we're tracking that. So I'm going to actually track this and get a time of some of those storms, really from Red Bay area through Fulton, and then going to be moving through parts of Monroe and even Clay County as those storms are severe warned. Some times on that's going to be Red Bay around 10:31, West Point there at 10:45, New Hamilton there at 10:52, Celigent at 11:02, and then closer towards Phil Campbell there at 11:08. Now I do want to take a look at one of those MDOT traffic cameras in Fulton. Very breezy conditions. You can see some movement there on that MDOT traffic camera, and it actually looks like you can see the wind pushing those raindrops across that camera lens. This is going to be visibility impacting storm, a lot of lightning, heavier rainfall. Some wind gusts could be up to 60, 70 miles per hour within this thunderstorm. So needing to make sure you are staying safe, staying close to your safe place this evening, because these thunderstorms, as you can see that tag up there, rotation detected within that line, seeing some broad rotation. Nothing too tight right now. That's why we do not have any kind of tornado warnings. But even on down the line of those storms, we're still continuing to monitor that for any potential strengthening right now from Kosciuszko back up towards Oktibbeha County. Sometimes on that storm where closer to around 10:34, Starkville area, 10:45. US 45 and 82, that's 11:08, closer to New Hope at 11:23. Palmetto area, they're around 11:47. Pickensville, 11:57, as that's going to be moving out. Now I'm going to clear this off and kind of show you widespread what we're looking at for your evening. Looking across the area, if you are behind that main line of storms from northern Tishomingo County down through Tupelo, Houston, Kilmichael, on the back side of that over towards Oxford, you are in the clear from severe weather. The cold weather is moving in, but we're still continuing to monitor, especially for places some in Itawamba County down through Monroe, around the Golden Triangle region and south, for some of those strong storms to continue to develop. So we're continuing to monitor these, but we'll come back with a full look at that Severe Weather Authority forecast and show you actually how cold it's going to get here in the next few minutes.
Taking a look at power outages.us, over 31,000 power customers are in the dark right now following those storms. Webster County is dealing with the most outages in our viewing area, with over 6,000 people in the dark. Tippah County, nearly 4,500 power outages. Be sure to remain patient with crews as they work to restore that power in days to come. New at 10, the victim of a recent dog attack in Okolona has died. Chickasaw County Coroner Larry Hughes just confirmed this with us. The attack happened February 7th at Triplet Street near the intersection of Main Street. Okolona police say 3 dogs attacked a 75-year-old woman. She was receiving care at a hospital in Memphis before she died. Police last month arrested Anthony Smith for the attack. He's since been charged with aggravated assault on a vulnerable adult. A judge at this time has set his bond at $10,000. It is unclear at this time whether or not Smith's charges will be upgraded. A North Mississippi community is mourning the loss of a young athlete who inspired many during his fight against cancer. Former West Point High School running back Kimon Trey Ewing passed away Saturday night at North Mississippi Medical Center in Tupelo, surrounded by family. Last June, the community rallied behind Ewing with fundraisers and events supporting his battle with the disease. Friends, teammates, and supporters say his strength and determination left a lasting impact both on and off the field. He is being remembered not only for his athletic talent, but for the courage he showed throughout his fight. Funeral arrangements have not yet been announced. New at 10, another day and still no signs. Winston County deputies still need your help finding a man they say was involved in a recent shooting. It happened on Miller Avenue. Deputies got a call about someone shot. That person went to the hospital, and when deputies got to the scene, the suspect then shot at deputies. They said that the suspect ran into the woods, and he is now still on the run. Now, law enforcement are looking for this man, Bobby Wright Jr. He faces aggravated assault and attempted aggravated assault on an officer charges. Deputies say he is probably driving a black Chevrolet Equinox. The tag number is on your screen, WNJ 715. Anyone with information is asked to call 911 or the Sheriff's Department. We now turn to the war with Iran entering its third week, and Iran is not backing down, lobbing retaliatory strikes like this one in Tel Aviv. Here's ABC's chief international correspondent, James Longman.
No end in sight on day 16 of the war in Iran. Israel and the US expanding the scope of the operation. Dozens were reported dead this morning in an Israeli strike on an industrial site in Isfahan. That's according to the semi-official Fars news agency. And here, this residential neighborhood in Tehran, devastated. Iran continues to lash out in response. A strike on Israel today escaped missile defense systems over Tel Aviv. The Israeli foreign minister had this to say about the country's famed Iron Dome, reportedly running short on ammunition.
Can you confirm or comment on reports over the weekend that Israel has informed the United States that it is running low on missile interceptors? Is that correct?
The answer is no.
But the global impact of this war is playing out here at the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian attacks have essentially closed this vital waterway. The longer ships can't get through, the wider the ripple effects. The administration adamant, saying the war must continue.
Hey, there's no guarantees in wars at all. I can guarantee the situation would be dramatically worse without this military operation to defang the Iranian regime.
President Trump called on world powers to help keep the strait open, but tonight none have committed to that publicly, as the White House faces questions about why they didn't take steps to protect the critical shipping lane ahead of the war. UN Ambassador Mike Waltz says countries who rely on the oil coming through the strait need to step up.
Well, I'll leave those conversations to him. The conversations are ongoing. I think there's an important point that's getting kind of missed in the conversation.
Israel's front in Lebanon is tonight expanding too, as fears spread among the Lebanese that Israel will occupy the south of the country in their campaign against Hezbollah. More than 800 people have been killed here.
As President Trump tries to expand a Western coalition to try to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is finding help of its own in China and Russia. Iran's foreign minister said today the military cooperation with both countries continues. James Longman, ABC News in northern Iraq.
What camera do you want?
West Point. Yep. Okay. What do you? Mm-hmm. Right now at 10:39, we are still continuing to track a few of those severe thunderstorm warnings for places Clay, Monroe, places in Itawamba County and back out towards Alabama, with a line of strong thunderstorms pushing through our area. Some of those strongest are going to be those storms that are moving through Monroe County right now. Amory kind of getting a lot of that heavier rainfall, very windy conditions on top of you at the moment. Now, I do want to track that area of storms through Monroe County and then down through Clay County. Now, we will continue to see some wind gusts possible, 60, 70 miles per hour, as well as you can still see that tag up there, rotation detected. That means we're continuing to see those embedded areas of rotation along that line of storm. So be steps away from that safe location. Now, sometimes on that, it's going to be Aberdeen there at 10:43. So in the next few moments, in the next few minutes, Athens there at 10:47. West Point 10:50. Closer towards Detroit, Alabama there at 10:56. Hamilton at 11:02. And then closer towards Sullivan there around 11:07. Caledonia at 11:13 for your evening. Now, kind of looking on down the line of storms that we are continuing to see. Starkville not under a severe thunderstorm warning, but still that heavier rainfall is going to be moving closer to you. Same story for places Ackerman, Kosciuszko. We could see some wind gusts there, 30 to 40 miles per hour, but below severe limits. Now, looking on that northern edge of that storm, I'm also going to track really from parts of Itawamba County up towards Red Bay as that tracks east. Sometimes kind of north of the Red Bay area down through Itawamba County, moving out towards Alabama. Academy there 10:42, closer towards Bexar at 10:50, Weston 11 o'clock, closer towards Russellville there at 11:03, Liberty Hill there at 11:14, Bear Creek 11:21 as that continues to move out of the area. Widespread overall, we're still continuing to track that heavy rainfall, windy conditions. If you're on the back side of this, so for places Tupelo, back up towards Boonville, Corinth, Kilmichael, Oxford, out to the west, the severe weather is over for you. We do have some much cooler air that's going to be moving in, but one really big thing that we are tracking, power outages. Looking right now across the state, there is over 34,000 folks without power. That number has went up quickly this evening. Webster County, one of those higher counties with over 6,000 people in the state. Tippett County, we're seeing over 4,000 people in that county without power. An update from Tippett County, 7 power poles down. That's reports that we're continuing to gather. And also Grenada County, power lines down, trees down, roof damage to a home as well. So we're still continuing to track those same thunderstorms move through. We've watched this all afternoon going to the evening as these storms move in. So if you are still out ahead of this through Alabama, the Golden Triangle region, down towards Louisville, Macon, have multiple ways to get those alerts. Of course, that WTVA weather call, weather app, no weather radio, code red alert, FEMA app, all good resources to have. A quick look at that 7-day forecast. We have very cold air moving in for the beginning of the week, but by the weekend, we're back in the 70s and 80s. So it is a roller coaster ride, but just make sure to stay safe tonight. All right, so we are still live streaming some of these strong to severe storms right now, so we'll be in and out of coverage. Right now, widespread, we can still see a lot of those strong to severe thunderstorms all the way from the north side of the Golden Triangle region there in West Point up through Monroe County, back out towards Alabama. The front edge of that almost out of Itawamba County completely. Do you want to take a closer look at some of those storms? Really right there along 23 is where those storms are in Itawamba County. That'll be pushing closer towards Marion, Franklin County, Red Bay, soon to get a lot of that heavier rainfall. Very windy conditions along with that. Unfortunately, we have still over 34,000 folks in the state without power right now, refreshing that. Still, I mean, over 6,000 people in Webster County right now without power. The heaviest rainfall that we can see is really there along 22 in Itawamba County, down through Monroe County, and into parts of Clay County right now. Some times on that storm, I'm going to track really from 22 down through Monroe, Clay. As that tracks east, if you have not got to look at some of these times right now, looking closer towards the Quincy area, they're at 10:53. Hamilton, 11:03. Caledonia area, they're at 11:13. Ewan, 11:22. Vernon, Alabama, it's going to be 11:24. Winfield, 11:33 as those storms continue to track east. Potential for strong damaging wind gusts still there, 60, 70 plus mile per hour winds within these storms. Still continuing to see some damage reports come in. We've seen some of that from Grenada County, Tippah County, of course, power outages widespread across the area. If you have any damage reports, you can send that into us through our WTVA weather app. You can send that to us through email and also through Facebook as well. Now, kind of tracking on down the line of storms, if you're in Starkville, Ackerman, down towards Kosciuszko, you are not under any kind of severe thunderstorm warning. Those look to be below severe limits, but still some very breezy conditions along with that. A lot of lightning, a lot of thunder with this storm. But I do want to give an all clear for some folks because it is late and some you're coming back from spring break tomorrow. So it is going to be a long day for some. So if I can find what I am looking for. Yep. From places up towards Tishomingo County through Itawamba, Chickasaw. No, that kind of blends in. But if you're on the north and west side of that faint green line, you are all clear from severe storms. You can still see a little bit of lightning ongoing with that, but all clear from the severe weather. If you are out ahead of that, that's what we are still continuing to track the threat for tonight. It is kind of just moving over top of Amory, Aberdeen here in just a moment and moving into West Point here soon. Do you still have that camera up in West Point?
I switched it to Starkville.
Okay, so let's take a live look right now in Starkville. As that storm is continuing to approach, very breezy conditions, very shaky conditions on that MDOT traffic camera. And that is on the west side of town where this camera is located at. Now, it doesn't look like the heavier rainfall has just made it in, maybe a little bit of those light showers just moving in, but we're still continuing to track very windy weather out ahead of that rainfall, starting to see a few more drops every so often on that MDOT traffic camera. So we're monitoring these storms as they move in, and this one in Starkville below severe limits, and you can see how much that camera is shaking. So those that are seeing some wind gusts, 60, 70 plus mile per hour, could see very, very windy weather and even some damage potentially, and that's one thing that we do not want to see is that damage. Now that storm kind of right over top of Red Bay. It's going to be getting closer towards Russellville here in the next few minutes, Hamilton, Alabama. You can see Aberdeen kind of moving right into your area as we speak. Celigent still out ahead of those storms. West Point still kind of moving right over top of you right now. Actually just to the west. Could be seeing those breezy conditions move in similar to Starkville right now. Now again, this line of storms that we are tracking, north and west half the area, you're in that all clear already. It's really still out ahead of that. Parts of the Golden Triangle region up through south and eastern parts of Monroe County back out towards Alabama is where we're continuing to track that main threat for this evening. Now, what we are looking at right now, of course, just those severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, you can see that kind of orangish outline, that rotation detected. So I do want to take a look at storm rotation closer into the storm right there. It gets a little messy looking once we get closer to that radar site. Not seeing anything too overly strong on rotation with that, maybe some broad rotation south at Towamba County. But overall, right now, it's the primary threat for windy conditions along this storm. I am going to leave this just a widespread look. This will stay up on live stream, and I will cut in as needed. But here's a look at radar. Again, moving into Aberdeen as we speak at the moment through the Golden Triangle region here in the next few minutes. I do want to get one more look. Power outages. Now we are up to over 36,000 folks across the state without power. We'll give you an update on power outages again this evening, but I am going to step off and we're going to leave this up for folks that may need this. So another update, looking closer at some of these thunderstorms right now, especially on the southern end. You can see it a little bit better. That very thin green line that is pushing out ahead of some of these thunderstorms, that's called outflow. Once that gets ahead of some of those thunderstorms, that limits the tornado threat. Still the potential for some strong damaging wind gusts. And kind of looking at some of those storms down towards Starkville, we were just looking at that MDOT traffic camera. We could still see some gusts 45, 50 miles per hour. That's below severe limits, but still could potentially do some damage there. Now, looking north at that one storm through parts of Monroe County, we're continuing to see a lot of heavier rainfall from Aberdeen back up towards Amory. As even there, you can see that faint outflow boundary. It gets a little bit wonky once that moves closer to the radar there in Monroe County and Greenwood Springs, but you can see a little bit of that outflow boundary there, which is good for the tornado threat. That lowers that. But we're still continuing to monitor for that damaging wind. Some gusts still could be 60, 70 miles per hour with this thunderstorm. Now that is past the Red Bay area, still that heavier rain ongoing, but that's going to be getting closer towards Russellville, Hamilton, Alabama here in the next few moments. I do want to take another track on the severe warned part of that storm from Russellville back down closer towards Marion County and through, I'm going to go through Aberdeen. Some times on this, and most of that is going to be off onto the Alabama side, but that's going to be New Hamilton area there in Monroe County around 11:04, Russellville 11:09, so here in the next 15 minutes or so. Hackleburg around 11:11, closer towards Bear Creek 11:21, Winfield there at 11:38, Fayette outside of our area closer to around 11:53 as that strong line of thunderstorms moves east. On down the line, we're continuing to track some of that stronger, heavier rainfall through West Point right now. So I do want to take a look back at the Golden Triangle region. Some of those MDOT traffic cameras, I think you still have Starkville up right now on that MDOT traffic camera. Let's leave that there. You can just see how heavy that rain is coming down, and what we're looking at, kind of, you can notice that right there, that wind, sorry, my brain went blank, that wind pushing the water across the road. So very windy conditions, even non-severe thunderstorm. Do not want to drive through that. Could see some potential flash flooding on the roadways just briefly. As that continues to push through, that's going to be right over top of campus. And also, if you are going to be getting out up towards the Golden Triangle region and West Point, seeing that same story with the heavier rainfall as well. So we're continuing to monitor a few of those thunderstorms there. Columbus has stayed dry so far, but we're continuing to monitor that out ahead of those storms for any possible strengthening. Now, I do want to take a check on the tornado watches because some places have been canceled early. Now, for places that they have already canceled, that's going to be up towards Tippah, Lafayette, Yalobusha, Grenada County. Now, even if you are closer towards Tupelo, Houston, even down towards Kilmichael, that severe weather threat has already diminished for you. The front of those storms have already pushed through, but if you're still out ahead of that, so for places in Louisville, Macon, Columbus, even Hamilton, Mississippi, and back out towards Alabama, we're still continuing to monitor the threat for those strong to severe thunderstorms. I do want to take a check back at the power outage map. So kind of getting towards that, right now we have, it's actually went down some, over 34,000 folks in the state without power. Tippah County being the highest at 4,400 folks. Webster County has went down by almost half, over 3,000 folks without power. Now in Tippah County, there are reports of about 7 power poles down in the county. There's also reports of power poles down in Grenada County as well. As you can see, there's still some power outages in Grenada. Over 2,000, over really 2,700 folks there without power in Grenada County. So we're continuing to monitor that. From the National Weather Service in Memphis, just keeping an eye on the chat over here. They will be removed from the severe thunderstorm warning shortly. So they're going to continue to cancel those as the front edge of that storm is moved out of Itawamba County. So they're continuing to update that. Still really from Hamilton, Alabama, back down through Monroe County and even parts of Clay County under some stronger thunderstorms. You can see they've even scaled that one back to now really just include West Point in that Clay County storm. Now, looking along this line, not seeing a lot of signs of any kind of tight rotation, maybe some broad areas, but especially moving through Marion County. What that looks more like is that wind that is pushing behind that storm, causing that bow out there. So moving into Marion County, a lot of windy conditions. Of course, if you have any of those storm reports, damage reports, or any kind of pictures, you can send that into us through that WTVA weather app, also through Facebook, and also through our email. So whichever way is easiest for you, you can send us those damage reports. I am going to get a track on that, starting with some of those Alabama counties, through Franklin County, Marion County, from Russellville back down towards Hamilton, and even North Lamar County. Kind of smaller track just to get that out of that WTVA coverage area. Hamilton at 11:04, so in the next 5 minutes or so. Fulton Bridge around 11:08, Hackleburg 11:10, closer towards Phil Campbell there at 11:15, Bear Creek 11:20, closer towards Haleyville there around 11:29, and that's for those Alabama side of things. On down the line, we're continuing to track and monitor these storms through Monroe County. It does look like it has weakened slightly. Still a very strong thunderstorm out there, so looking at that and tracking that, as that is going to be moving closer towards Caledonia and then out towards Sulligent, Vernon, Alabama. So some times on that. New Hamilton there, Monroe County, 11:02, closer towards Gatineau there at 11:07, Sulligent 11:13, closer towards Beaverton 11:20, Winfield 11:36, Glen Allen there at 11:42. Now again, some strong thunderstorms down closer towards moving through Starkville. That'll move into Lowndes County, closer towards Columbus, but those are not severe warned, but we will get a track on those for you as well. A little bit of a longer track through Octibaha County and then back down through Attala County. Sometimes on that, we're doing this in multiple spots, so it's not just a lot of names at once. So sometimes high point there at 11:09 there in Octibaha County, Columbus Middle School 11:18, close to Eastwood Hills there at 11:32, Lake Lowndes 11:39, Brooksville 11:51, Macon 12:02, so just after midnight, and then Pickensville around 12:17 as that's going to be moving out towards Alabama. Widespread once again. A line of heavy rain, gusty winds potentially that could cause some damage moving from Red Bay down towards Hamilton, through Monroe County and through the Golden Triangle region. Again, we will break in back to this live stream as needed. We're going to just leave this up in case we do have to come back to it, but we are still continuing to monitor and track things here behind the scenes for you. Before I step off for a moment, power outages right now, still over 34,000 folks in the state without power, and some power companies do not report to this power outage map. So we're continuing to monitor things. Again, if you have any of those damage reports, we'll try to get some of those in maybe the next time we come in. All right, so we're going to go over another update on these storms, kind of widespread. You may have noticed Monroe County, they have cut that severe thunderstorm warning off. The only places for our area right now included under a severe thunderstorm warning is places from Lamar County, Marion County, and Franklin County, Alabama, as that is going to continue to track east. Now, down towards Louisville, still a lot of that heavier rainfall. Non-severe warned storm, though, but very gusty conditions. And I actually do have some reports to show you, but I do want to take a look first at power outages. Those power outages are climbing. And across the state right now, there are over 40,000 folks without power. The largest for us, Tippah County, over 4,000 people without power. Grenada County, there's over 2,000 folks without power. Webster County, almost 2,000 people without power, but continuing to see those rack up as the storms push through. Some damage reports from across our area. Of course, we've talked about those power lines down in Tippah County, Grenada County also included in that, but we've also seen reports of some structural damage in Kossuth. Continuing to get those reports in from viewers from the National Weather Service chat. Also, of course, those power outages still continuing to climb. I'm kind of looking at the whiteboard that we've wrote a lot of these damage reports on. Also, Starkville from the emergency management down towards Oktibbeha County. There is a tree on a house, Green Street area in Starkville. Also, metal building, this is how it was phrased, metal building wrapped power lines on Highway 12, Louisville Street in Oktibbeha County. Also in Grenada County, some roof damage to a home. So we've seen very strong damaging wind gusts within this line of storms. Now I'm going to get a track on that line of storms, really kind of moving through Columbus right now. Starkville just past you. Louisville, that's kind of moving right through your area right now. So sometimes on that edge of storms, it's going to be moving through our southeast counties right now. Some of those last places, New Hope, they're around 1135. Lake Lowndes in parts of Lowndes County, 1139. Brooksville, 1149. Closer to Macon, 1202. Pickensville, 1214. And then it's going to be pushing out of the area there around Gordo, 1224. Back out towards Pickens County, Alabama. Update, tornado watch now only included for places in those counties: Columbus, Louisville, Macon, Lowndes County, Winston, Knoxville, and then Pickens County, and also back out towards Alabama is where we are tracking those. So this threat continuing to dwindle down. If any folks still kind of questioning whether they are in the all clear or not, I'm going to draw that all clear line from Florence down through Hamilton, Alabama, West Point, north side of Starkville there, and then ignore that little line, that one a little crooked, and then down towards Louisville. That line's supposed to go straight. If you're on the north and west side of that line, you are in the all clear. It's really those far south and east portions of our area that we're still continuing to track. But right now, the only places that we do have severe warnings for places Sulligent, Hamilton, Alabama, back out towards Franklin County, Alabama with those storms. These storms, for some down towards Louisville, still fairly strong. Could see some damaging wind gusts, 40 to 50 miles per hour. While that is below severe limits, we could see some of that even cause damage like we did in Starkville. That was not a severe warned storm, but we've had reports of damage. Of course, a lot of power outages with this. We are going to leave this up just a little bit longer. May break in again as needed, maybe to cover some more of those reports in, but right now, of course, for places Brooksville, Macon, even south and eastern parts of Winston County, that's where we're still continuing to track that potential and that threat for storms. But for most places, you're good to go to bed if you have stayed up, if you haven't went to sleep yet. We'll give you a little bit of a wider look at this radar, but we will leave this up and continue to break in as needed. I want to do one more cut in right now, continuing to track some of these strong to severe storms. What we are continuing to watch, I've talked with Nick behind the scenes a little bit. The storms you can see through parts of Lowndes and then moving into Noxubee County, that faint green line right there is that outflow boundary. That's limiting a little bit of that instability with that. Still very breezy conditions along with that storm, just not severe warned. Now through our Alabama counties, those storms are starting to move out, at least moving into the southeast portions of Marion and Lamar County. Those will exit our area, and then we're just continuing to monitor those far southeast portions, Pickens County, and then also Noxubee County for any strengthening. But overall, most places are seeing calmer conditions now that that rain has pushed through. But one thing that I do want to focus on is how cold it is going to get. So I'm trying to bring up the potential for freezing conditions tomorrow morning and going into your Tuesday morning. So looking across the area, we have freeze warnings and also some freeze watches. Those deeper purple colors, that's freeze warnings, and kind of clicking on that onto that, we'll take a look at what time those are going to be issued for. That's until Monday at lunch. So this is for overnight tonight, going through tomorrow at lunch. Those deeper purple colors, freeze warnings. Now, freeze watches extend until Tuesday, 10 a.m. Those are going to be issued for Monday night, going into your Tuesday morning. So behind this line of storms, very cold conditions. Still also very breezy conditions as we have those high wind advisories. That extends until tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. So still some very breezy conditions overnight. Looking for wind gusts right now, kind of overlaying that as that loads in. We've seen some wind gusts today, even before those storms, 35, 40 miles per hour. Behind that, even in Tupelo right now, we're seeing 22 mile per hour wind gust. Memphis almost 40 mile per hour wind gusts. So still very, very breezy conditions, even back out towards Arkansas. It's going to make things feel very cold as we're heading into the start of your work week. So for folks that are maybe getting up, going to work after spring break or going to school after spring break, really needing to make sure you are bundled up. Going back, taking another look at radar right now, those storms continuing to track through portions of Lowndes and then also moving into Noxubee County here shortly with some heavier rainfall. I do want to get a track on that line of storms from South Lowndes County down through Louisville as that moves out towards Pickens County. Non-severe warned storms. We're looking towards Lake Lowndes there at 11:45, closer towards Macon area at 12:04, and then getting closer towards Aliceville there around 12:34 for that line of storms. The severe weather threat for a lot of us has tapered off. We're still tracking just a few folks out ahead of that line of storms. So if you have not seen an all clear yet, I'm going to kind of draw that line from Franklin County, Alabama, and then on through West Point, Starkville, and then down just on the west side of Louisville. If you're on the northwest half of that area, you're in that all clear. For places really south and east of that line of storms, that's where we're still tracking that potential. And you can see actually the National Weather Service in Birmingham extending that severe thunderstorm warning. That is including places outside of that WTVA coverage area. Continuing to see a lot of heavier rainfall, some breezy conditions. Unfortunately, we have had a lot of reports of power outage damage across the area all the way from Tippah County to Oktibbeha County. Look at power outage map across the state right now. Just shy of 40,000 folks right now at 11:39 without power this evening. So we're continuing to monitor that, continuing to monitor some reports from the National Weather Service chat. Looks like some more tree damage over towards the Byhalia area from earlier this evening. So continuing to look at some more of those storms, some windy conditions still closer toward Lowndes County, Noxubee County. Behind it, we're just looking at that rainfall. Switching over to precipitation type, we've talked about the potential for some flurries. It is possible as we head closer to 6 a.m. tomorrow for a few folks, but most will not see that, and we won't see any impacts with that, even if you do get any of those flurries. But right now, overall, that severe weather threat is dwindling, but we are still continuing to monitor for a few more folks. I think we're going to go ahead and cut the live stream off. We will break back in, live stream online, and then, of course, on air as needed. But with that outflow boundary kind of right out ahead of those storms, that's kind of holding those storms below severe limits. So I think we can cut the live stream off, and then we will be back on as needed. And then, of course, we will start our morning newscast at 4:30. With more reports of power outages, updated damage reports, and the update on how cold it is going to be. Again, remember to bundle up, but we are still here monitoring some of those southeast portions of our area.